make you feel better.
These are live.
Yeah, they are.
Every day I see it, of course, I'm thinking somebody's using it to get around. Driving.
Yeah, I wanna get that.
I think it would be fun. You can pretty much go all over as long as you get it to one or the other. But yeah, I am definitely in the morning for it. I'll be, as I go through, I'll check you out and ask you what I need to know.
We've got all kinds of fun stuff in there, don't we? We got this too, look at.
Is that added to the agenda?
That's just the,
Oh, we just decide.
tons of fun stuff. Today is fun day. Fun morning, fun evening.
Steve, is this something we're signing today or no?
That's fine, everybody do it.
It is disclosure of financial interest for planning and zoning and board of appeals.
That might have been a good thing.
I don't know, what maybe I ain't supposed to have it. It's what we usually sign.
It's usually on Thursday, yeah.
That's horrible, okay.
Yes.
Isn't that for Thursday?
Uh-huh.
All right, they all had it up here.
I didn't put it up there. Kelly may have, I didn't put it up there. Yeah, those are for Thursday.
Okay.
Good evening and welcome to the Spalding County Board of Commissioners Extraordinary Session. It is Monday, September 19th, 2022 at 6 p.m. We would request that you silence your cell phones and any other electronic devices. At this time, we would like to ask Pastor Tim Knorr from Union Baptist Church to deliver the invocation, followed by Commissioner Ryan Bolden with the pledge of the flag.
All right, let us pray. Father, we thank you for this evening and the incredible privilege to meet here with such freedom, to exchange, Father, information and ideas and concerns. And Father, I would just ask you to allow your peace to rest upon this room this evening, that as we exchange all of those things, we do so in a respectful manner, one to the other. Father, we thank you for our county leadership. I thank you for our commissioners, Lord. I thank you for how they love this county and stand in the gap for it. Father, I thank you for our county manager and the wisdom you give him to lead. And Father, I just pray for wisdom for each and every one of our leaders and discernment for all the many decisions that they face each and every day. Father, we would ask you this evening to allow everything here to honor you so that you might honor us. And we'll give you all the praise, honor, and glory for that. For it's in Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
If you would, please join me in the pledge to our flag.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 4, presentations proclamation. Proclamation on the National Voter Registration Day. Dr. Ledbetter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to read the proclamation this evening.
in recognition of National Voter Registration Day, September the 20th, 2022. Whereas one of the most fundamental and sacred rights of our country is the right to vote. In order for our government to function effectively and respond to the needs of our people, citizens must play a role in shaping it. And voting provides Americans with a voice in building the city, county, state, and country we want to live in together, and we hope to leave to our children and grandchildren. And it is up to each individual to exercise the right that so many struggle to obtain and protect. Too often, voters disengage in the electoral process when the President of the United States is not on the ballot. It is important for voters to participate in every election at every level. The right to vote freely and fairly and to have our voice counted is a sacred and fundamental part of our nation's character. With this right, anything is possible. Without it, so much is lost. For democracy to work, it is up to all of us to protect the right to vote and then exercise our right. And the first step is to ensure we are registered to vote. National Voter Registration Day reminds us of our right and our responsibility as individual citizens to exercise the right to vote and ensure that our voices are heard. Now therefore be it resolved, the Spalding County Board of Commissioners encourages all eligible Spalding County residents to ensure they are registered to vote. Check your registration status and ensure your registration is accurate and up to date, and encourage your neighbors, family, and friends to do the same.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to approve the proclamation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0. Motion carries. Thank you. Is Roy gonna come take acceptance? Roy, come forward.
So,
See, you're not always just getting screamed at, see, it's.
No, we're gonna take a picture.
Okay.
Come on.
Great.
Are y'all gonna go take a picture?
I didn't know we were taking pictures.
I didn't.
Well, taking pictures, you know, when we get proclamations, we'll take.
Okay.
No. We'll just ask, DeAndre to just get you the.
Yeah, where's the?
You would like to make some comments?
Just thank you. Please make sure you're registered to vote, and we'll have a meeting here tomorrow night. If you have any issues you'd like to talk about, please come up here then.
Thank you. Citizen comments. Speakers must sign up prior to the meeting and provide their names, addresses, and topics they wish to discuss. Speakers must direct your comments to the board and not to individual commissioners or to the audience. Personal disagreements with individual commissioners or county employees are not a matter of public concern, and personal attacks will not be tolerated. The chairman has the right to limit your comments in the interest of disposing of the county's business in an efficient and respectful manner. Speakers will be allocated 3 minutes to speak on their chosen topics as they relate to matters pertaining to the jurisdiction of the Board of Commissioners. No questions will be asked by any of the commissioners during citizen comments. Outbursts from the audience will not be tolerated. Common courtesy and civility are expected at all times during the meeting. No speakers will be permitted to speak more than 3 minutes or more than once unless the board votes to suspend this rule. Dr. Ledbetter.
Mr. Chairman, we have one who has signed up to speak this evening, Mr. Ron Hoffman. If you would, please come forward and state your name and your address, please.
My name is Ron Hoffman. I live at 130 Milner Avenue.
Welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, On June 3rd of this year, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, otherwise known as CISA, which is part of Homeland Security, they issued an advisory detailing 9 specific vulnerabilities on the Dominion voting systems that are used in the state of Georgia and in Spalding County. 4 of the vulnerabilities allow a bad actor to take control of a machine and also spread malicious code to other Dominion machines. One of them is called an origin validation error, which is the authentication mechanism used by voters to activate a voting session, and that is susceptible to forgery. And according to the report, an attacker could use this to print an arbitrary number of ballots without authorization. In addition to that, the U.S. District Court has ruled that Dominion Voting Systems violates 2 Georgia statutes, specifically OCGA 21-2-27.1 and OCGA 21-2-300A2. And what those statutes say is that the electronic ballot marker should print an elector verifiable paper ballot, and that this ballot should be in a format that is readable by the elector. Commissioners, this is not readable by any of us. And this is what these machines produce, is a QR code that no human being can read. So what do? As Dr. Ledbetter said, voting is a pivotal part of our republic. Georgia law also gives us some remedies that local governments like you can do to take action in order to secure our elections. OCGA 21-2-300A3 states, additionally, at its own expense, the governing authority of a municipality may choose to acquire its own electronic ballot markers or ballot scanners by purchase, lease, or other procurement process. And OCGA 21-2-366 states, the governing authority of any county or municipality may, at any regular meeting or special meeting called for the purpose, by majority vote, authorize and direct the use of optical scanning voting systems for recording and computing the vote at elections held in the county or municipality. If so authorized and directed, the governing authority shall purchase, lease, rent, or otherwise procure optical scanning voting systems conforming to the requirements of this part. Optical, meaning with our eyes. It's in letters and numbers. We can see it. We can read it. Commissioners, I urge you to take action to secure the voting in at least Spalding County. You have the authority to do that, and I would urge you to do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, what was his name again?
Hoffman. Mr. Ron Hoffman.
Ron Hoffman.
Here, Milner Avenue.
130 Milner.
Okay.
Thank you. Item number 6, minutes. Consider approval of the minutes of the Spalding County Board of Commissioners Extraordinary Session on August 15th, 2022, the Spalding County Board of Commissioners Special Call Meeting and Executive Session on August 24, 2022, the Spalding County Board of Commissioners Special Called Meeting and Zoning Public Hearing on August 25, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, I have a motion to approve, and I have a second.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All those in
We'll let Ryan second.
All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion carries. All right, item number 7, consent agenda, Equalization School. Consider approval of an option to purchase the Equalization School. This will enable the Griffin Spalding Housing Authority to obtain grants needed to complete this project. Dr. Ledbetter? would
Thank you.
explain?
Consent agenda item number 1, May 18th of 2020, the Board of Commissioners voted unanimously to approve a resolution authorizing the option to purchase real property with Griffin Housing Authority. The document was not properly filed, and Mr. Bob Dole has asked us and is working to complete a grant application to do renovations for the Equalization School. I've had a conversation with the county attorney, and we've come to the understanding that this is going to need to be reaffirmed by our Board of Commissioners and properly signed, filed, and presented back to Mr. Dole so that he can file the grant application. So the staff is making recommendation that you reapprove this for moving forward with the grant.
Who currently owns it?
Spalding County.
We do.
So, are we ready to ask a question yet? Yeah.
I just,
So, my concern with this is that and maybe I missed it, I didn't see a plat. And are we giving them the option?
The plat is attached.
Okay, I'm trying to see if I can pull it up, but.
So we're selling it to them so that they can use their
You're-
grants?
Yeah, well, you're giving them the option to purchase it. You're not actually even conveying it to them at this point.
And this was 2
Because if
years
they have
ago.
the option, they can
Yeah.
use the grants.
We did this 2 years ago
Right.
and didn't fill out the paperwork to be
So-
able to finalize it.
We just
There was-
never finalized the option.
There was an MOU that I think we actually signed with the Housing
Yeah,
Authority,
It,
correct?
it's fully listed here on your screen. At the bottom, it says the resolution of the Spalding County Board of Commissioners for the purpose of authorizing the Spalding County Manager to execute an option to purchase property with the Griffin, Housing Authority. And it was specifically for this. It is an option to purchase. So once the grant application is approved, they would come back with the paperwork and the request to purchase the property. And it is platted correctly. We did make sure that we went through all of that.
So, and I apologize because, the thing that I'm pulling up here is not helping me. I just need to understand that, I wanna understand, did we plot the entirety of the property, which includes the Rosen Wall, which includes the gym? And how did we separate where the
This
building is?
this plat is only for 415 Jefferson Street.
That is correct. It is just for the equalization school.
And not even like the yard around it, right? Like
So-
I don't think it was for the yard around
No.
it.
just the building.
No,
Was it-
that's not
did it
correct.
go all
It's
the
for
way
the
across?
equalization school,
And that 5-point-something acres right behind it.
so, yeah.
6.23.
Could somebody just pull it up, cause I can see it. My concern is that there is a quote-unquote green space, I'm not sure if that's 5 acres, but certainly if you count the space where the equalization school is, I don't know, half acre, maybe 3/4 of an acre. But the original agreement was that if the housing authority is able to get that grant to do that, market housing there, then they would be able to get the grant to renovate the building, which I'm good with that. My problem is that I wanna know it specifically. How are we going to be able to split up where the Rosenwald School is, where the gym is? Will they only be responsible for the equalization school, because the rest is supposed to be parked around it? And then how would the other green space be used? So
The
there's-
legal description describes 6.23 acres. And
Right, that's the entirety of that complex. Yep.
This was just the equalization building.
So, yeah, is somebody trying to help me pull this up?
We're working on it, yes, ma'am.
So, I think it's a great idea. I wanna make sure before we go in and saying that we're doing an option, that the option is for exactly,
What we're
not the Rosenwald.
We wanna do it, we just wanna do it right.
Right. So, I'm still trying to pull up the minutes for today and trying to pull an agenda that will, but I don't seem to have it here.
Look under agenda.
So this 6.23 acres is bounded by property of Spalding County on both sides, and, to the north, it looks like it's the property of the Board of Education. Yeah, that's
What's the address?
'Cause if it
415
goes from
Jefferson.
equalization to Board of Education
You
property,
can't get it either. That's what I'm saying.
if it goes from equalization and then bounded on the north by the Board of Education property, that means it includes that parking lot and where like the garden used to be, because.
No, we're talking about up the hill.
Yeah, it's up the hill.
There shouldn't be any school property on that, because that property, the school deeded all of that property to us.
Yeah, but if you go down the hill, there's AZ County there, right?
Right.
And so the school board currently owns that, so if the description is,
Yeah.
this is bounded on
It's
the north,
bounded by
Side
it
by
on the
school
north.
system.
which
Yeah, I
means
understand.
equalization school to there,
Includes-
that includes Rosenwald and the parking lot.
Well, yeah,
You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and we certainly don't wanna convey.
I mean,
Rosenwald.
I know that they're in a tight to try to get this in, but I think the importance of us making sure that it's exactly right on the front side would help them in the end when we do have to convey.
Absolutely. We'll be more than happy to take this back if you decide to table it, and we'll pull a legal survey. We'll get a surveyor in. Now, understand that the surveyors could take up to 60 or 90 days, because that's how far behind they are.
Can we just
Pass it with the correct description.
well, can we just skip it in the agenda right now and come back and wait for them to pull it up and then move through these other?
Well, what
Like a
she's
new
gonna
bid?
pull up is not a legal description,
Yeah.
she's gonna, what she.
Yeah, like a map.
No, yeah,
I think
I wanna see
we
what
can just see
it's
a map
supposed
and
to
be
look
like,
like on the ground, that's what
here
I'm
is the-
concerned about.
You know what I mean? Like here in this highlighted green area, this is what we're.
I mean, there has to be something that shows what will, we're not giving them the option for the entire property, so how is
So
that?
should we just state that in our,
Yeah, less.
I mean, I think we probably need to move
Because
forward with this.
415 is the entire complex, it's not just the equalization school.
Yeah. if it's-
Because before
if it's
that,
6
when the
acres, that's that
Rosenwall
whole-
was Risa, it was still 415 Jefferson. And the gym was 415 Jefferson. And the field on the other side was 415 Jefferson. So if we convey 415 Jefferson,
So how
okay,
many,
you
how
got
many
me.
acres does Q Public say it is?
6.4.
Yeah, see, that's the whole.
So that's what I'm saying.
6.4,
That's the entire complex.
Yeah, and we just need the equalization school and the piece that's directly behind it up the hill.
Yeah, so it would be sort of a fat L. You know what I'm saying? Like the field and then.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to have this surveyed so that we can properly denote exactly what, we're gonna convey.
You know, unless they wanna fix the gym too.
Well, I mean, see, that is the problem. It's a
All right,
problem
do I
for
have a
me.
motion to table?
Yeah, table until, I mean, maybe they can pay to get a survey done sooner, maybe they know somebody, but clearly, we need to delineate what is going to be our responsibility and what is gonna be the responsibility of the housing authority, because we can't convey to them stuff that we're gonna be, property that we're actually gonna be responsible for.
All right, I have a motion to table, do I have a second?
Second, oh, wait, go
What?
ahead,
Yeah,
well, I take it back.
Okay, hold it, we're still just,
Okay, so what,
there's no discussion in, when you table something, so that's what we're talking about right
so
now.
what if we approve this pending a survey?
That's what
Whatever.
I.
That way, as soon as the survey's done, they can get their grant.
Oh.
Is that?
Yeah, I wanna make sure that we're all in agreement with what we're gonna convey, because it's not just the equalization school, it's a portion of this field behind it that
Yes.
they're going
west
to
there.
need, because that's the market housing that needs to go in.
Right, but if this entire thing is 6 acres, is that 4 acres, is it 3 acres, is
That's a
it 2
great
and a half?
question, and
They-
until we get the survey, I
They
can't.
already own the land to the west of it, right? Where that trail is?
No,
Isn't that already how?
that's us too.
That's us too.
That's us too, and then we also own that land up to the other side of that, north of that too. So, yeah,
and
mean,
are we
I'm-
providing adequate setbacks and all of that with the,
Yeah, it's not gonna be adequate setbacks
not
for
gonna
that
have adequate
equalization. It's gonna have to have a special exception for that specifically because of the conjoined, work that's going on in
right,
that
right,
area.
but special exception is down the road.
That is correct.
We're just trying to get some dotted lines drawn on the paper to say, this is the part we wanna option you to get if you get the grant.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I mean, obviously, we need to expedite it.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess-
give me leave, if you don't mind, table this, but give me leave so that I can go find a surveyor that can actually support our work moving forward. And what I understand that the, Board of Commissioners is looking for is this, open field area to the west, and then the equalization, complex. That's the piece that we're looking to subdivide.
And my concern is that we're already basically removing all the green space that we initially started out with. And so there's not really a playground there, but I wanna make sure that if that is all it's gonna be, because they may very well need, then we need to do our figuring on how we're gonna figure the rest of the park based on whatever their needs are for that. And of course, just like everybody else, we'll require them to have green space. We're not the city, but we're giving you the land, so we're saying you have X, Y, Z you need to do, so. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking about that.
All right, you wanna make a motion to?
Okay, motion to table
All right, I have a
until,
motion- I have a motion to table, do I have a second?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a motion to table and second, all those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0, and you have
thank you
the,
guys.
I do.
you have the
Okay.
guidance you need, okay, thank
So
you.
the public knows it's our intention to do this, we just wanna do it.
Correct.
The right lines drawn.
Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting. recognize Jenna Garrison, Administrative Service Director, and her staff on Spalding County receiving Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting for its 20th consecutive year. Dr. Ledbetter.
It's our privilege to recognize Jenna Garrison for 20 consecutive years of GFOA, I'll get it right in a minute, please forgive me. GFOA recognizing us for our audit, our annual audit. Jenna has just done a fabulous job for this county, showing our transparency, showing all that we bring to the table for our community to see. I'm thrilled to have her on this team. So thank you very much for all you do.
Thank you.
20 years of doing this is absolutely unheard of.
See, it's old hat to her. She's like, yeah, of course I got it.
Waiting for the photographer. Are we where we're supposed to be?
Yes, you are. You look good.
I don't know.
Once they get to the big one.
Now, that's a big laugh.
I know you got Jenna to smile.
I'm so proud of you. Thank you for keeping me out of jail.
Yes. Please take the microphone.
Got more work to do.
20 years of doing this, you didn't go to the microphone.
It's really not my award, it's the county commissioner's award. I just take what the department heads do, and my job is to put it all together into the financial statements. So it's
This
not
belongs to
mine.
you, not to me, that's for sure.
Well, this is a certificate of achievement. The award is actually a certificate of excellence in financial reporting, and that's the award that belongs to the commissioners.
Leadership has a lot to do with that award.
I just want to, if I can, Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank Jenna. We're saying we're getting this for 20 years. I remember she just got out of college when she started working here.
Oh, yes.
And for the next 20 years, we got fixed. But she works tirelessly. You don't hear a peep out of her. If she look at you the wrong way, just walk another way. She's not gonna say anything to you, but you on the bad list. But I just want you to know, I love you, and thank you for being willing to share your expertise and knowledge with us, because there's like, I can't even tell you how much stuff you've helped me to understand. So just thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well,
Definitely.
thank you. Item number 2, intergovernmental agreement, the City of Orchard Hill Internet Service. Consider request from the City of Orchard Hill to participate in a broadband services that have been extended by Spalding County into their area. Dr. Ledbetter?
So last year, the Board of Commissioners approved for staff to install a wireless internet antenna system around our county, and we have 35 miles of antenna set up. The great thing that we did first off was we brought Blaylock Fire Station up on our system. They did not have high-speed internet. And Mike, come on up, Mike. Mike and a contractor went and installed these antenna systems onto our towers, and they were able to have high-speed internet like they have never had before, and it's working like a champ. Well, this system is not only working there, but we're extending it. The animal shelter is on.
Correct.
We've got Station 2 that's about to come on. So we've got a lot of things going great for our county with our high-speed internet. Well, Orchard Hill approached us about 6 months ago.
Correct.
And Mike has worked tirelessly to help them get the system installed on the silos down in Orchard Hill. And now we have the City Hall up
Correct.
and running. We have, or they do, Orchard Hill has cameras in the park, so the park security is exponentially grown. And we are now in a position where we need this agreement between Spalding County and Orchard Hill to carry their backhaul. So Orchard Hill is wanting to provide for their community high-speed internet. The provider that is around the area has not agreed to provide them with fiber to the home. So they have all of their city, to include their commercial areas that do not have high-speed internet. And Orchard Hill has paid for out of their ARPA funds to put high-speed internet into their community. So over the summer, we had our Georgia Tech interns do a lot of the work that we needed to provide high-speed internet around our county. And as a part of that work that they have completed, they did a cost model for how much high-speed internet should cost for residents. And Orchard Hill is looking to do exactly what the interns suggested, which is provide high-speed internet to their community for $35 per resident. And that $35 would be cost shared. 20% of that would come to the county for paying for the internet that travels between here and Orchard Hill. So we don't have a cost. It's not going to cost us anything. That 20% would be per customer. And Orchard Hill is looking to charge their customers $35. So the difference between that $7 and that the county would get per customer and the $35 would go toward maintenance and upkeep of the antenna system that they have. So it would not cost the county anything to do maintenance for the system that's working in Orchard Hill. The cost study that these interns did ran all of the numbers. We had a chance to sit down and take a look at those. They were going to be here this evening, but one of them is back in school at Georgia Tech, and he was not available, and the other one, I believe, has started a new job, so he too was not available to share with us this evening. But this agreement between us and Orchard Hill is just to provide them with backhaul should they decide to extend their internet service to their residents. And staff's recommendation is that you consider this for approval. It's not going to cost us anything, and the residents in Orchard Hill are going to have high-speed internet where their kids can go to school and they can do telemed and they can actually work from home where previously they have not been able to do so.
Very good.
This is one check.
Yes, it's just one check. We are not in the utility business at all. This is not a utility. This is just a cost share where the city of Orchard Hill is paying for the pass-through, so that it doesn't cost the county anything for passing the internet through. This is not about making money at all. This is about just making sure that we provide internet service to those who do not have internet service inside of our county.
Zero sum.
Mr. Chairman, I may ask a question. So Orchard Hill is one of those areas that should have come under the fiber that was being done by the company in Forsyth?
That's
Right.
correct. Central Georgia EMC, they have still not provided high-speed internet in that area, and the information that we have been given is indicating that it could be 2 and possibly 3 years down the road before they finalize that system.
So,
Despite having taken large government grants to do so.
you worse than me. So I spoke with a gentleman that lives on Bucksnort Road, and the people that are doing the fiber were coming up, I think like from Rock Springs and then up Bucksnort that way. And so they all got their houses hooked on, and their charge is $90 a month. So that's a significant
Cool.
difference than what residents in Orchard Hill have to pay, which I'm all for that. However, what are we gonna do about the people way out at eastern Spalding County and the people up there in Sunnyside and out by Manley Road are we, is there something we're gonna be able to hook them up through?
So that's phase 2 of our request. That's not on the agenda this evening, but Mike has actually worked to do exactly what you are asking, which is provide those residents that currently do not have, who are either unserved or underserved, the opportunity, should they be able to see one of our antennas, to connect to the system for a zero-sum game on high-speed internet.
So basically, once we're able to put internet there, we'll be providing guest internet
That,
services.
well, it's not guest, but it will be affording our residents the same opportunity that we're doing in Orchard Hill
$35.
at $35.
So that might work for Sunnyside if it's still Sunnyside. But what about the Manley Road people? What a Mentor Road? What about those folks out there?
Us, me.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I keep forgetting you down on that end too.
So
I'm just trying to figure out, do we have a game plan for them?
Absolutely.
Because everybody needs internet, and the further out you are, the more dire the need is, so.
Yes.
I
Yes,
mean,
yes, ma'am. That's exactly what we're looking to do. That's why, as we work through the challenges, we have circled the county with a 35-mile ring to extend as far and wide as we can possibly extend to make sure that we are covering at 100%. Georgia DCA is indicating right now that we are at 93% covered for our community. There are
I mean, I know that's what the map says.
yeah, it's
but-
what the map says. And honestly, there are coverage areas that are lacking, or maybe a better way to put it, that are not as well served as they could be. And we are working diligently. Mike is doing a great job at working with our contractor to help us extend this internet option as far and wide as we possibly can across Spalding County.
So is there, now, is Rovers at Tella in the Central Georgia EMC area, or is that someplace that's within our ring? Is that outside our outside of our ring or inside of our ring?
It should be inside.
Mike, do you want to share with us where our ring currently resides?
The water tank and radio tower on Williamson Road, right at South Pine Hill, would be the closest location that we can,
That's the end of our ring.
that's
That's the point where
the
the signal
southern
will come from.
edge of it.
And people, if they're able to, will we charge people for that?
Yes, ma'am, we will need to charge people for that simply because it is pulling away from our bandwidth. So it's an opportunity, and we would be back to you once again with the $35 a month rate, because we're not looking to make this a utility. That's not our intent. Our intent is to pay for the internet that we're being charged, because it is solely a pass-through. We are not an IP service provider. We are just extending our internet to make sure that we're taking care of our citizens the best we can.
That is a really big issue that we just talked about. We're not getting into the utility business. This is zero-sum game.
So how do people use it?
So the way that the system operates is the same, and I'll give you an example that we are currently using for Spalding County. So internet fiber comes into Public Works on Meriwether, and it is broadcast directly across Justice into the animal shelter. So there's an antenna on Public Works and an antenna on the animal shelter, and they share that internet fiber. It's high speed. What we're seeing right around almost 100 megabits per second on both sides. So it's working quite well for us. And Mike is looking to extend that down the road, not for our public safety, because we are running redundancy with our public safety, but for the water and sewerage facility that's up across the street from the jail, for the shop. So all of those areas down through there are sharing that fiber out of Public Works, and it's saving us a significant amount of money. And that's important for us. We're looking out for every dime.
But how would a resident across the street use it?
So the resident across the street would do the same thing, and that's how they're setting it up in Orchard Hill. So from the silo, a resident is they're required to put an antenna on the side of their house. The antenna is about the size of this sheet of paper, so it doesn't detract from the outside of the house. That antenna is a proprietary radio signal that communicates between the silo and the house, and it passes data back and forth. It is
The data that
secured.
the data that comes from the silo is, I'm gonna use the word broadly cast around. It's not direct, it's not pinpointed, like at Public Works, there's one that instead of
It-
signaling that, it's just going to one spot.
That is correct. It is just going
So
to
the
that
one-
one antenna.
But is it broadcast in every direction equally and only being caught by one antenna?
Yes.
Or, okay. And so that's how it's gonna work everywhere else.
Correct.
So how are we then not providing the internet?
We're not, we're just extending it. For us to provide the internet, it would be for us to be able to provide an IP address, and that's not what we're doing. We are not in that business. We're just passing information, data through the airways.
So, what I'm saying, I hear what you're saying, it all sounds good, but if I'm paying Comcast $90 or $180, and the people next door from me can get it for $35,
Whoop.
why wouldn't they wanna switch over and just come and get it for $35? So, not that that's the answer, but I'm saying I think it's really important for us to figure out if this is going to be, it is a revenue generator, it's a replacement, but we will be in direct conflict with people whose job, who you know what I'm saying, they making money. And so that's the only thing I would be concerned about, cause I mean, I want the cheap internet.
Well,
So,
I have a bigger question about legality. I mean, is it legal for us to do this, Stephanie?
Yes.
Okay, so like you're saying, the cut of maybe the Comcast and the DirecTVs of the world who may not actually get their cut of what we're doing. We're able to do this without keeping the county out of trouble.
So
I'm not
here,
worried about them.
here is the response to that. Competition always drives the price down. We are actually looking out for our residents to drive the price down. So if Comcast is currently charging $90 per household, maybe they can get it down
I'm
to
all for it.
65. Maybe
for
they
that.
can get it down to 50.
Yeah, but it's a monopoly. They do it, and so, yeah.
Here's my concern. You're gonna broadcast this or make it available in Orchard Hill, and you're gonna have, you know, sweet Miss Smith calling the county and saying, hey, my internet's out. Like,
That's where that $35 a month minus the 20% actually comes into play. So Orchard Hill would be making the phone call over to the contractor to take care of the maintenance for that
So-
requirement.
so Miss Smith's gonna get a contractor's phone number, and she's gonna be able to call them.
She'll call City Hall
She'll
and
call
then
Orchard Hill.
that's correct. She'll call City Hall and City
Who do
Hall
they
will do
call
that.
when they've hooked up to the fire station at Blaylock?
They called
Do they call
Mike.
the fire station?
Yes.
So they do call the county.
Well,
Although-
Blaylock is ours.
Sure, but that's what I'm saying, like, do we have the bandwidth in personnel to field all the Miss Smiths of the world who are
So-
gonna call and say, my internet's out?
So that's actually a wonderful question.
And can we field that for $35 a person?
I have been in a jurisdiction where we had 100 customers on board and I had one phone call in a year.
Boy,
I hope it works exactly the same.
Either it is or it won't. There's no middle ground here.
But remember, the big question is, this is not, right now,
That'll
this
cost
is
us
not
something.
gonna become a utility for
Right.
us, as opposed to the city of Griffin, which uses theirs as a utility. That we, so far, have not stepped into that pond at all, and we are not planning on stepping into it until we make a different decision.
What do you mean by that? Like, I know that we're not providing IP addresses, but like, we're clearly providing.
We could start making
a
money
service.
off of it and turn it into a utility. We don't wanna do
Okay.
that.
So what you're saying is, the
But the
city of
people
Griffin
that are here
does
this morning
charge
said we
more
should.
than what it costs them
Say it again.
unless they
The people
turn.
that were here this morning said we should be
Okay, and
making
we
money.
don't want to do that. I'm there, but
Yes,
like,
they did.
are we confident that $35 a user is gonna get us at a break even?
That's exactly what we asked of our interns, and that was the amount of money that they indicated that would be a break-even point for us.
If a Georgia Tech engineer has said it, it's good enough for me.
Okay.
This is,
Look, all
remember,
now all
this
the
is phase one.
UGA fans are
All
laughing.
we're doing is
So
doing something.
we'll have time to see if the kinks to get worked out.
Absolutely, and that's one of the reasons why
Well,
our
Orchard Hill's
recommendation
test
is using Orchard Hill as our
Okay,
test bed.
All right,
And
gotcha.
they've bought onto it. This isn't something we're forcing. This is them coming to us and saying, we want to do it this way.
Right.
All right, do I have a motion to
Quick
approve?
question for
I'm sure
Mike
my
real quick.
constituents would love to be the scapegoat.
I'm sorry.
Question for Mike. You mentioned phase two. I mean, is there an ETA for that, or do we know when that's gonna happen?
No, ma'am, we're still focused on phase one.
Okay.
It's a really good idea with a plan in front of it, but no specifics.
We're just gonna wait out this one, okay.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
Slow as that is. Motion to approve.
I have
Second.
a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion carries. Thank you, Mike, for what you're doing to get us moving along.
Mike.
Item number 3, amplification permit. Union Baptist Church, consider request from Pastor Timothy Conhort, excuse me,
Gonna work.
on,
Trying to work.
I'm gonna, father, known to me as father, Union Baptist Church for an amplification permit to host the grand opening and dedication of a horse arena at 1405 North McDonough Road, Griffin, Georgia, on October 1st, 2022, from 3:30 to 7:30 p.m. Dr. Ledbetter.
Thank you. The applicant is here with us this evening. The application permit is for Union Baptist Church. It's on North McDonough. It's a very large piece of property. The county 4-H has been a part of this construction for a considerable amount of time. The horse ring is completed, and they're looking to celebrate the opening of the horse arena on October the 1st. And all of our departments have provided feedback, and the recommendation is for approval.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
There must be some awfully good preaching going on there if y'all to get a horse arena. There might be something to it. There might be something to it.
That's a first, that's a first.
Right?
Okay.
Schools, I've heard of horse arenas. I don't know.
All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0. Motion carries. Amplification permit for Tatos El Son wedding. Consider a request for the amplification permit for the Tatos and Elson wedding to be held at the Meadowlark 1939 Event Center located at 2613 Noonan Road in Griffin, Georgia. The request is for Saturday, October 1st, from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
It's a long day.
That's a long, Dr. Ledbetter.
Staff has reviewed the information. The recommendation is for approval. It is a long day, but it is a wedding, so
Don't we have a time limit on amplification?
Oh, plus.
actually, the time limit is anything over 5 hours has to come before the Board of Commissioners. Anything under 5 hours can be approved by Community Development. So the reason that this is here is because it is over the 5 hour limit.
And it's an event center, so once again, it's.
It is an event center.
It's kind of by itself. It's right by woods.
Okay,
Motion to approve.
All right, I
Second.
have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I have a motion and to approve in a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion passes. Amplification permit, the Lake Pavilion. Consider request from Aaron Burks for an amplification permit to host a music festival at the Lakes Pavilion located at 460 Aerodrome Way, Griffin, Georgia. Dr. Ledbetter, Ms. Littlefield.
Ms. Kelly, if you want to come up.
Okay.
There are some significant safety concerns with this. The one-way in and one-way out has some challenges for public safety. The amount of people that will be parking in the area, the parking location is another concern. There are a list of items that staff has recommended for the event coordinator to complete. And the staff is really torn here. The recommendation is conditional approval with the agreement to all of the conditions that are listed. And those conditions, we can bring those up if we need to.
Let's bring them up.
Here you go.
So my concern is, like, how do we, as a legal mechanism, limit parking? How do we, as a legal mechanism, now, if they're operating a business, that's beyond the scope, right? Or if they're-
Actually, there is a calculation for determining the number of parking areas required for an event.
Right.
The fire marshal has reviewed the information, and that is a part of the conditional requirements.
I'm just saying, like, that should be separate from what we're doing here. Like, the fire marshal saying, you can only park this many people, like, we don't get to vote on that. Like, that sticks whether we want it to or not.
It
You know what I
will,
mean?
but if you approve it, then it will stick. If you don't approve it, then it's not a consideration.
So, this is my concern. We just looked at, Meadowlark. And Meadowlark is out in the middle of the woods, and there's, I think that Ingram's had at least 5 or 6 houses out there. So there are houses that are close to there.
But they're all part of Meadowlark.
But they're still homes. I mean, somebody might be renting a house that isn't Meadowlark folks, but I'm saying just the fact that people live there. Are we looking at Meadowlark and saying, what is your parking capacity? Is that part of, so I'm saying, I want us to use the same
Yes, ma'am. That's exactly what we're
requirements. If
doing.
you have to designate to us that this will hold 500 cars, that's fine. I only know of one entrance into Meadowlark. So where's that second one?
It'll loop around.
Okay, I know the
They're both
one
on
that you
16.
first get to on 16, but the only other driveway is where you go into where the houses are. So people that are at an event are not gonna be coming through the residential, so what I'm saying is there's really only one driveway in and out. So, I agree that the things that you're saying that needs to happen at the festival needs to happen, but we need to be taking the same kind of scrutiny with each and every one of these outdoors
I think
events.
we all agree with that.
So if part of, I think it's just not enough to ask for an amplification permit if the person has not said to us, this is my site, the estimated number of people is gonna be 300. I need to have at least 200, you need to have at least 200 parking spaces. I'm doing you again. But I'm just saying, it needs to be in writing. My biggest thing with us giving an amplification permit does not talk about the safety of people there. There, I don't know about Meadowlark, but at a lot of these places, there's water. And people don't know how to swim. Maybe they're drinking alcohol, maybe they'll fall in the water. I mean, if I go to a festival, yeah, I'm gonna get my buzz on too. So, but I'm not gonna try to jump in the water, but I'm saying it can happen. If the ambulance has to come out to Meadowlark, I need to feel certain that there is emergency entrance. If you have an entryway for your talent, I don't think the Rolling Stone gonna be coming into the same driveway that I'm coming in. I know Elton John ain't. That's me. But yeah, so yeah, I just need for us to. There are some issues that I feel like will be happening at this event. But the fact that this is 2 days, my question is, will people be staying overnight?
May I ask-
And will there be security? And if they are staying overnight, what kind of toileting stuff they're gonna have? Okay, yeah, but I'm just saying, all of that has nothing to do with the amplification permit that we're asking. So granting them amplification permit, and we already know there's a grocery list of stuff. I just think that we need to fix the big stuff first. The amplification is not the problem.
May I
I
ask
think
a
we're
question?
using the vehicle of the application, but I think you're right, there needs to be an event permit. Not necessarily now, but like, we haven't looked into that, this whole idea of hey, if Woodstock wants to come to town, we gotta figure out a way to say, yes, if, you know, and right now we don't really have that accepted.
So a couple of years ago, this may have something to do with it or not, but the Chamber of Commerce had an event out there. It was a luau that we went to. And there was a lot of folks there, you know, so, I mean, you know, and I know this, we're creating a new ordinance here, but I mean, I don't remember, there was a lot of traffic. But I don't remember the coming in and coming out being an issue, or if it was even brought up at the time when the Chamber did it, when we did. I mean, there's a lot of things that actually, great things, you know, that occurred there. So I'm just kind of making sure that, you know, the Chamber, yes, this one, no. I mean, we need to make sure that we're fair across the board, because that did occur, you know, like I said, it was wonderful. But entertainment, you know, there was cocktails, you know, and I mean, there was food. I mean, I think there were bathrooms there. A lot of people, we had drivers back and forth taking us to our cars. So, I mean, it can be done, you know, so I want to make sure that whatever we do, that we're consistent, that's all.
Your noise abatement ordinance does not provide for safety type issues. These are more
Right.
business licensing and event permit type
So we could very
issues.
well say today, okay, this is a request for 2 days of amplification. I think it said from 5 to 10, 5 at night to 10 at night. So actually, it's just 2 events. So, but I was under the understanding that people were actually going to be staying overnight on the property.
We're gonna know.
Yeah.
I would like to talk if I could, because some of the stuff that y'all saying is not correct, and I can give that information when you guys give me an opportunity to speak. Because I know when I came last year, you guys gave me an opportunity.
Step up to the microphone.
Thank you, sir. Thank y'all.
Name and address, please.
Aaron Burks, 1704 Queen Victoria Court, Locust Grove, Georgia, 30248.
Thank you.
We've been out there now for 7 years, sir. The property has existed in its entirety for 32 years. It's been ran like this since 1990. Everything is intact. The road that goes into the property is adequate enough. We have parking now for over 700 cars. This event is only going to consist of about 300 people. And the events we put on out there are normally about 300-400 people. We did make it just one day. We took it down to just one day. It's 5 hours, just like the other events where the application was approved, and I didn't see all this, you know, stuff they had to go through. Our business is ran as an event venue. I have a $1 million liability insurance policy for personal injury, $2 million for general liability. For all of these events, we don't put them on unless they're safe. Just like you said, the Chamber of Commerce, they do one every year. They done it last year, the luau, and they just booked it again for next month. The city of Griffin, I could go on and on. There's weddings that happen out there, different community events, the churches. So it's just not this one event. We don't do these events unless we do them safe. We just don't do them. I turned down a lot of business out there because I don't feel like it's the quality that we want to bring to that community over there. The property's been there for 32 years. We didn't build it, we bought it, you know. So it was already Bill Jones built that property back in 1990. I had the pleasure of meeting him. I think he told me he never pulled any permits, but we do it, you know.
So we didn't even really have zoning ordinance.
Okay,
for real
and that may have been
tonight.
what it was.
Might have, but not really.
Yeah, but
So you just understanding that a lot of what we're talking about in terms of people's safety
yes.
are
And
what has happened since 1990.
Exactly, and I understand that. What we did, the measuring of the parking spaces, I had a company come out, measure how many cars can park out there. We haven't even come close to filling the property up with parking, okay?
But did you turn that in as part of your site plan?
I did the best I could with as far as the map that you pulled for the amplified noise. Also, when I sent the email out, I sent it out to the fire marshal. He came out and did an inspection of the property last year. I sent out photos with some of it because I don't have the, you know, technology or the knowledge to actually generate, you know, those types of maps. But I did have the event map. Is actually where the stage exists, where the chairs will be, and, you know, the vendors, you know, we have that. I get that made up for every event. So the Pavilion is a spot that we use for vendors. There's tables under there where people can relax, so it's kind of spread out. There's an area, I think some of you might be familiar. I know you've been to an event out there before. The Chambers had their luau out there, like you said. So it's pretty spread out. The stage is a permanent stage. and you know, the things that exist on the property, I mean, the footprint hasn't changed. There is a separate interest into the property that I told the fire marshal about when I spoke to him. I can't think of his name right now, the guy that owns Rocket. Very cool guy, he owns the property next to us. He allowed us to open the gate up coming in from his property. So there's a commercial property next door to us. When we have bigger events, you know, I haven't had one yet, you know, but we're reaching for it. We helped him clear that back lot over there where it was just pretty much debris and, you know, old parts and stuff sitting. It's right adjacent to my property, and I mean, you can drive buses and all kinds of stuff through there because his property is used as a commercial property. So there's dump trucks and, you know, all kinds of stuff that he stores there. So there is a big opening for that side of the property also. That actually makes two entrances to our property. Even though that one entrance, it's a double gate on it. I mean, it's in and out traffic. And again, you know, we exist as an event venue. So we're not just pulling an amplified noise permit trying to have an event out there because we just want to just do it. It's what the business was set up as.
So I totally get that. I'm pro-business. But the first thing that I saw was for September 3rd and 4th, a weekend festival. Okay,
Yes, ma'am, we did change
So you
that.
can understand.
Yes.
While you have changed it now, our concern is that we have never had an event where we allow people to be here for the whole weekend, okay?
And I was wrong about that because in the past we have done it. I didn't know that it was something that we couldn't do because when I pulled the zoning for the property, it lists camping and things like that. So we have events out there in the past, and that's why I took it off for this one because, you know, maybe it was something that I misunderstood, and definitely I make sure when we do these events, we work closely with Spalding County Sheriff. Sheriff Dix has given me a lot of advice over the years. The only issue we've had on this property was back in 2018, it was a noise complaint. We've never had any issues on the property. So we deal with, you know, licensed security, sometimes Spalding County security, police. And, you know, we just really try to do it the right way. So when that issue was brought up about overnight stays, which I had no knowledge, they're staying in campers. So we bring campers out there. Last year we did one when we had our 5-year anniversary ribbon cutting. The chamber was there. We had like 30 campers out there. So I didn't know it was against the rules.
But right, you understand that we're saying that the human waste, and
Exactly.
you got a waterway. So what you're really here for today is an amplification.
Yes, ma'am.
permit
Yes,
for
ma'am.
One event on whatever day.
Yeah.
From 5 to 10.
It's gonna be Saturday, this Saturday, you know, 5 to 10, the normal hours of, you know, anything over 5 hours is, you know,
And that's this
it's no
Saturday.
exception. It's this Saturday. And we changed it to one day just because of the confusion. That's something that I definitely want to make sure we're doing the proper. I mean, it's a 32-acre property, so when
Right.
we bring in campers, you know, all those vehicles are self-contained. So they have their own waste water, you know, it's not like they're dumping it on my property, you know, a camper or a motorhome is self-contained, you know. And when we bring those things out there, I mean, there's enough area and things of that nature. There's 24-hour security out there, you know. So the way we do the events out there, like we will actually bring people in that have the knowledge of these things before we do it. You know, again, if it's not something that we can put on that's safe, we don't even, you know, I mean, we're responsible for everybody that, enters the property. And the property, as far as the size goes, 32 acres, I mean, you know, of course it's, you know, enough space to handle more than just the few hundred people. I think the Chamber of Commerce, like you mentioned, that event was way bigger than anything we've ever done out there. And they're doing it again this year. And, you know, again, it's the property, from what I understand when I was doing my due diligence, it was a community place where people came. I've met people who've grown up on that property. I've met police officers who got married there. I've met people in this community that know the property better than me. So we're bringing it back to its original beauty. It's been a lot of hard work, but it just seems like when I go to do events, sometimes I have no problem with the amplified noise. I don't have a problem with pulling the permit for it. I don't have a problem with having, you know, the adequate insurance or whatever it takes to put on the events. But, you know, realize we are an event venue, so we were under the understanding that we could host events there. So
Right.
I'm a little bit lost. Like this
So
situation.
But festival is something, a a multiple day festival.
Yes, ma'am.
It's different than you
Okay,
having a wedding event.
and again, we took off the second day. I want to make sure
Right,
that I
so
get
just-
a
so
better
just so that you
understanding.
understand that's
Yes,
what's
ma'am.
going on.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
in terms of you having an amplifications permit, I'm looking here now, and I don't really think that we need to bend the pencil till it's broken on this one, because if all you're getting is a one-day amplification
Yes, ma'am.
permit, and that's what we've been granting. But clearly, there are going to be some specifics about turning in a site plan. I mean, whatever it takes, if you've gotta get somebody to get a camera and mark off your spaces. I think for anyone, and we're not just gonna ask you, we're gonna ask Metal Art, we're gonna ask the blah, 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 whoever, because I think it'd be great
Yeah.
for this community to have that. We want people to be safe.
Exactly.
And we want them to have access to medical.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
And there
don't-
is
Don't hear us attacking you. That's
No,
not
no,
what we're
no,
doing.
I just wanted to be clear
We
that-
just all sort of are realizing we don't have a mechanical way in the
To make this
to
completely
create
safe.
to create an event as opposed to
Yeah,
just like,
I guess I was saying that based on, I'm sitting here and I've never been here where other events plan, amplified noise, and I just saw, hey, approved. My thing that I'm doing out there, I feel like is in accordance with every single law. Like we don't try to take any kind of shortcuts at all, because I don't want accidents to happen out there. We do family reunions, we do church events, we do all kinds of stuff. So there's always people on the property. There's always, our parking lot is designated. There's signs on both sides of the gates that's existed there for 30 years. So,
So understand that we're all for economic development. We're all for you bringing musical entertainment here. That's something is sorely needed here, but we want it to be done safely.
Exactly.
And we want you to have the same rules that everybody else is going to have to live by.
Yes,
So-
ma'am.
So you triggered this because you wanted a multiple day
Yes.
event, which means that we gotta figure out how to do that right.
I understand.
But understanding going forward, as a county, we're your partner.
Yeah.
We wanna make sure you have an ambulance out there in case somebody gets too hot or blah, 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 blah. We wanna make sure that there's enough police out there if you got 400 cars, that everybody that lives there does it. So
Yes,
don't
ma'am.
look at us as someone trying to hinder you. Let us help you
wanna help you be
to be successful in doing that.
Yes,
And be
ma'am.
a partner with us in that, in something of that nature, because for us economically, that's a driver anytime somebody comes and stays here overnight. So,
Yeah, and it does. I mean, the hotels, we, last year, I think we booked up the Holiday Inn, the Country Inn, and the Comfort Inn several times. Like, I know the owners there because, they solicit us for their business. We do a lot of business for them, as well as the restaurants and the stores there, the chair and table rental companies. So it benefits a lot of other different businesses in the community, and not just us when we put on these events, so.
so if we can hear from Kelly. Thank you, Mr. Burke. Where we are with the one-day request for amplification for an event, a concert event.
So, if the commission,
Oh, my God.
She can't speak. Are you okay with it?
I'm okay
All right, staff would make recommendation for approval, yes,
we
ma'am.
should do approve.
Motion to approve the request for amplification at 47, no, hold on, that's his address at home. At 460 Aerodrome Way, the Pavilion.
All right, I have a motion, a second, any more discussion?
Which day is it gonna be?
Saturday,
Saturday.
24th.
24th, okay.
All right, all those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion passed. Thank you for coming, Mr. Burke.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 6, Spalding County Correctional Institution contract for medical services. Consider request from the Spalding County Correctional Institute to approve a contract with Dr. Hall for medication services at the Correctional Institute.
Now, this
That
is
should be
Medical
it should be medical services,
Okay.
not
this,
medication.
this is the same that's already
It's an
there.
annual
We're just renewing
contract.
it.
It is, but we actually put it out for bid as you requested back in January. And we had three people who.
Mr.
three
Burke?
Pardon me?
Mr. Burke? If you don't mind? Thank you, sir.
We had, 3 companies that were interested. Only one put in a bid, and that was, IPS Services. Actually, the first 2 bids that he submitted were actually 2 different options
for us, one with a RN and 24-hour on call for 7 days a week. And then we dropped back, of course, that number was extremely high. He submitted a proposal for using the 2 LPNs, 12 hours a day, as we're doing now, basically the same coverage. And I think it was around $575,000 a year, which was extremely high for us. So we went back and renegotiated, and we're basically doing the same coverage and same services that we had prior to. And it's a little bit of an increase in what we had before, but it's the same service that we had before.
And our last amendment was 1 nurse and 8 hours. This is 2 nurses and 12 hours.
Correct.
12 hours a day coverage.
That's correct. Monday through Friday, 12
And
hours.
they're
coverage.
still doing telehealth sick call. If the nurse is triage and the patient or the inmate needs to be seen by a provider, how are we doing that? Are we?
Yes,
telehealth?
we actually have the provider come in twice a week. But anything other than that, yes, they consult with the provider.
So they go to sick call and then
That's
they
correct.
need to see the doctor in a day or two.
That's correct.
I have one more question. Are you gonna be happy with this?
The current services we have now, yes.
All right.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, same.
This is
Fayette County work detail.
item number 7, Fayette County inmate work detail. Consider requests from the Fayette County for use of inmate work details.
Yes, we currently have 2 contract work details in Fayette County. They are requesting a third. There's a slight change in the contract here that we simply say that this providing that we can hire someone to fill that contract detail officer's position. So at this point, we do not have anyone, but we're actively recruiting.
Fill it, yeah.
So that's basically, they want to add the detail, which we will when we get the staff to do so.
Is there a way to increase the cost of Fayette County on exchange for them raising their price on parks for our citizens?
We
I'm still
didn't-
mad about it.
We did not consider
Right.
that.
No, but we
We
should.
did not consider that.
And this is work detail, they pay and benefit for the officer, they provide whatever work truck,
It
whatever
is,
supply.
it's just like every
Every
other
other
work
contract.
detail that we have.
The only
Motion
thing that's
to-
different is this is space available.
It is
Right,
subject to the availability
Ability
of
of an
inmates and
officer.
staffing,
Yeah.
yes.
To increase. So I would like to make a motion to allow, the warden to increase, the work detail for Fayette County with the condition that there is actually an officer who can fill that spot.
Second.
And that is in the agreement.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Warden. Appreciate it. Item number 8, setting park hours. Consider request from the Spalding County Park and Leisure Services Advisory Commission to create a county ordinance setting the hours in the county park system to 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. unless there are approved special events being hosted at a particular location. Airport Road Park would be the only exception and would be excluded from these set hours.
Morning, Mr. or good evening, Mr. Robbie. Thank you for being here this evening.
Yes.
All right?
Well, my understanding, those park hours are set so that we can enforce the regulations of people being in and out of our park at a timely manner. And if we set park hours, then it'll give the officers the ability to enforce the laws if we have people in the park after the 10 p.m. time frame, with those exceptions.
Why not Airport Road? I'm just kind of confused. Why is that excluded?
It's 24 hours.
It's a
People are
24
out
hour
there
park.
walking 24/7.
24 hours.
So it won't.
That's a
close.
problem?
No, it's accepted, because it'll stay open.
I
Okay.
don't think anybody's sleeping at the airport,
Well, that's true.
yeah.
I see what you're
It's
saying.
probably too busy for people to go.
Airport Road is, you would not believe the number of people that get off from second shift jobs that go out there. You'll go out there at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, there'll be 4 or 5 people out there walking.
Oh, it's a
before they
great
get
park.
home from
In the
work.
morning, people will like 4:30
4:30 in the
and
morning.
5
Yeah.
o'clock.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
very well attended, yeah.
From when we used to irrigate out there regular before we got, the city cut us off or whatever and we couldn't afford to anymore, I would constantly get harassed because people would fuss at me about getting wet walking at all hours of the night.
But just curious, with the Christmas lights out there and everything, which I know that's beautiful, do you find more people out there in odd hours walking because of those lights?
Not really.
No?
I mean, if
Just
one night
curious.
you're up at 1 o'clock in the morning, go by there.
Okay.
You'd be surprised what you
Yeah,
might see.
the only thing was, I think Commissioner Dutton was asking me about the Grind Skate Park. Why isn't it an exemption? The city of Griffin has a dusk to dawn, and dusk is
For City
actually
Park.
like 7 in the morning to 7 at night. And of course, you know, we know that people are still at the park. So we figure at 10 o'clock at night, you know, we cutting the lights off. Because nobody's supposed to be in the park then, it's past dusk at 10 o'clock at night. So that's why that one doesn't have an exemption, because it is the city park.
And we do have the lights on the skate park where you could actually see after dark are on a timer.
Okay.
I just think like Ambucks, we're allowing special exceptions to be there after 10 o'clock in case a baseball tournament goes longer or whatever.
Exactly.
Like, why are we not
Basketball
expecting the Grind Skate Park to have their skateboarding tournament go long? You know, or
Oh,
whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like,
If there is a
The
special
city.
event,
but that's what,
I'll
The thing we have
bet
to
draw.
deal with,
but that's what I'm saying. So exception allowed with
Should've been.
approval, like it's not checked. So like, hey, yes, you should close at 10 unless there's an exception, and it's not checked. That was my question, is why?
the thing we have to deal with there
Yeah.
is the skate park sits inside of City Park. The city already has a time set for City Park.
But I think if we read back here further where we talk about this says the exception will be any planned events by the community or events where people have
Right.
rented it and expect to stay longer. So
Right.
there are exceptions, but you'll have to come through rec services to say, we're having a dock holiday and we wanna be there at 11 o'clock at night. Well, okay, then we'll do it.
Well, that's why it would be allowed with approval. Right now,
It's not.
Carver Road Dog Park, approval isn't even on the table. Like, no exceptions will be allowed. There's no approval that can be granted. You see what I'm saying? Like,
I think that's
it would
just
be
poorly
closed
done
at
chart.
10, period.
Right.
But we
Poorly
also
done chart.
can't say there's not, I can't imagine why anyone would wanna go and have a special event at 11 PM at the dog park. But I can at
That may be
Ambucks.
due to the fact that
Yeah.
Dog Park is not a lighted park.
Sure, look, there might be
There's
some
not
good
even
reasons,
security
but,
lights out there.
So-
but there is at the skate park, you know what I'm saying? Like, there
Yeah,
is
I
at
think
Ambucks,
that
like,
needs to be, yeah.
Like, why not allow a special exception if it's granted?
Well, I mean,
Not just-
technically,
Sure.
anything
Yeah.
should be allowed a special exception because it's got to get
We could put
additional
lights up,
approval.
we could put lights up at any time to be able to do something with
Yeah.
that. So-
You
so-
can direct me to draft the ordinance such that there's an exemption allowed with approval for every park.
Yes,
That works for me.
works for me. All right,
That's fine.
we all good with that?
Except for Wyoming Ties, not Wyoming Ties Park,
We're shutting that
airport.
down.
Park.
Airport, which
Airport
is
park, yeah.
not
Which
subject
is
to the
20.
I
hours
think that would
anyway.
be better.
Yeah.
That we would know if we need to know if somebody's gonna be there longer. And clearly, if they're having a skate park tournament, we allow everybody else to be out after dark, so.
Yep, okay, you have what you need?
Just the county.
So do we need to
motion.
approve, I would like to make a motion to approve the,
Ordinance as modified on the.
Actually, it's just directing me to modify the ordinance, and then the
okay.
ordinance will come back before you for approval.
okay, so, make a motion to direct staff and the attorney to create an ordinance that will cover hours of operations at all of our park facilities. And bring that back to us for approval.
Okay. I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion, a second, any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion carries. Thank you all.
So, Mr. Chairman, I forgot to say this one thing. It is really important that we do this, because several times our folks have showed up at parks, and people are living in the restroom. So, and then they don't wanna get out when we tell them they need to get out. So, you know, if you come out there with your kids and they gotta go potty, they can't even go in the bathroom because somebody has made that their house. So we feel like we have to, in order for us to allow law enforcement to ask them to leave, we need to set a standard that's uniform. So that's how this whole thing came.
Oop, great idea. I have
All right.
got no problem at all. I think we should have had it a long time ago.
Yep.
All right,
Thank you, guys.
thank you,
Something
appreciate it.
else? We got another thing.
All right. Item number 9, Pavilion Renters Request. Consider a recommendation from the Park and Leisure Service Advisory Commission to allow charcoal and gas grills at pavilions for an additional $50 fine. Fee, excuse me, not fine. Dr. Ledbetter?
Guys, y'all want to take it? Because I think y'all were part of the plaque, is that correct?
Yes.
Well, we just saw in our parks that we have a lot of people that come in, and some of the grills that we had in the parks, they felt like it wasn't adequate enough to prepare food for the family reunions or different events. So we looked at exploring maybe bigger grills or allowing them to bring in their own grills. And then that's when Greg and their department did the research behind what type of grill we need to have out there. If not, then do we need to put a fee in for an extra grill, just their own grill, so that, but I think that $50 includes the cleanup behind that when you bring your own grill in. Greg, you might want to.
Yeah, all of this started way back maybe 20 years or more ago, where they outlawed the big grills being brought in because charcoal or whatever would burn the grass where they pulled them up on the grass, or they would have grease drippings kill the grass or get on the concrete, and then we would have to come in and pressure wash concrete and such like that. The $50 fee is just to assume that one of those is going to happen, and to offset the county's expenditure of having to correct that.
Okay. Dr. Ledbetter, what about insurance?
So that's one of the things that we require when people rent these pavilions, is the general liability goes back on those families. So whether it's coming from their homeowner's insurance or whether it's coming from a special general liability waiver that they purchase coming in. So we feel like the $50 fee is adequate to take care of the cleanup of the facility, but the insurance is a different discussion.
Okay. Do I have motion to approve? Okay.
Homeowners insurance
Okay.
doesn't cover it, just letting you know that.
You sure?
I'm just saying, but
So,
that would be, event insurance would do it either, but.
Nope.
so okay, I'm just gonna be real. If I got to fill my application out and it says, are you going to bring your grill or an extra grill? I'll say, yeah, my brother-in-law, he got like a long grill. And then you say, okay, that'll be extra $50. I'll be like, no, we'll just use the grill that's out there. This to me is like penalizing people who are honest. Some people will just say, okay, yeah, we'll pay it. I just don't think people will say that that's what they're gonna do.
Well, the ordinance could say that if upon their vacating the premises, we find that they used their own personal grill, then we send them a bill for it.
Well, that's, Commissioner Flowers-Taylor and I, before the meeting, were discussing this specifically, and the idea was, is there some way to hold a deposit? The only reason we're charging the $50 is in case we need to remit damage.
That's a good idea.
Right.
Right.
And so instead of charging folks, we just go, hey, everybody's gotta run a card. We won't charge you anything. But if then you burn the place down, or what, you kill all the grass, you dump your charcoal like a jerk, then,
Because I don't know if there's, you can say you can't have it within 10 feet of the pavilion, or you can have it right next. I think there needs to be a designated place. You can't just roll up in there and lay your stuff out. But I agree with you that if that is part of the application, if you do it, you don't get your refund back. In which case, you could just do it for everyone.
And
If they say-
Yeah.
What does $50 cover? Nothing. So if you, in your example, when you're saying he burns down everything, $50 is not gonna do anything.
Well, so if we have a card on file, it'd be like a hotel. You put a card on file when you check in. We're not charging you anything, but if you smoke in the room, there's all these fees. If you take all the towels, we're charging you for all the towels, whatever the charge is.
So there needs to be more fees laid out there then, other than just a $50 deposit. Like
Or-
if you do this, you do that.
But
you
whatever
do-
the cost is, hey, we had to come back and
I mean,
But you see,
replant some sod. Here's your charge.
on any given day, I can just roll up into the park with my big long grill, and as long as I don't have a reservation at the pavilion, I can just have at it, you know, so, and I think we want people to do that and
Right.
feel comfortable doing that. But if you lease a place from us, there are some expectations that we have, and I think that deposit should go with the leasing. If you don't use it, if there's no problem, you can get your money back. I mean, I think some kind of way, and I'm asking you, Greg, like you might be Kelly.
Well,
I think we allow
I
people.
think
Well, we
it
do
plaque,
do
I
that.
think it plaque, this was discussed, the whole
Right.
deposit thing, and I don't think there's a real, under their current rental system, I don't think there's a real good way to allow for deposits to be returned.
So
Well,
do
we do that, in our rentals of the, like at the facilities.
That's
They
what
do,
I'm saying.
yeah, they do have a deposit, and then they call in on Monday, and I call staff, and if the room has been cleaned, all the expectations that we expecting them to do, if they've done that, then we refund them.
So how do you refund it though?
As for the credit card, we just, basically
so-
hold, same, sort of what.
So we should be
Mr.
able to
Duck-
refund them for that.
I'm
Is-
gonna
is-
need more direction from Plaque and if, to do an ordinance that,
Yeah,
that requires
I
all
think the general idea that, you know, if somebody cooks on a big tin kettle thing, and they leave all the charcoal that they have there, first of all, we got to dig it up, then you burnt a bunch of stuff up, and before we get there the next weekend, 18 kids have got the charcoal and drawn all over the side of the thing. I think we just need to take better responsibility for our stuff.
This needs to go back to PLAC.
Works
We
fine for
like-
me.
We like where we're headed, but.
Okay, so motion to motion to send this particular item back to, Leisure Services and ask them to work out the details.
Correct. Okay,
We'll ask them to resubmit.
Well, I think
You
we
know
just
what I'm
need a
saying?
more,
Yeah.
a different game plan.
yeah, and it has to get to the, you know, in the end, it has to get to the county attorney.
Cause we didn't even think about a deposit and then being able to give it back to people.
And think about the deposit as well. Our
Adequate
current,
deposit.
yes, and with the
Yes.
insurance piece
Right,
of it, because
right.
remember, our current deductible is $25,000. So if they burn the pavilion down and there's only $100 deductible sitting there, that doesn't cover anything for
But
the
you can't
county.
make it cost prohibitive.
I'm not looking to make it cost prohibitive. That's not the intent, but
Is
just
that what
think
you
about
think?
how we work through the process for bringing outside equipment onto the county property. I'm very much in favor of allowing us to purchase those grills so that we've got control and we understand the safety requirements for those grills. But I think there's a big challenge if we bring a commercial grill out to the pavilion and we burn one of the pavilions down. I think that's a significant risk to the county.
Yeah, I mean, I think there needs to be something that says, well, I mean, but the regular barbecue grill is connected to the pavilion.
Yes.
But clearly, nobody really likes to use them because you can't really cook a lot of food on them, and they're older than the one that's at my mama's house that she built 60 years ago.
Wait a minute, the oldest girl out there is 3 years old right now.
Man, stop. Y'all shouldn't have spent no money on that little grill this wide.
No,
You
the
could
ones that- the ones
restrict-
at the larger pavilions are like they're probably double or triple size.
Yeah.
But they're not adequate.
And they-
I'm straight up, you end up with 100 people at like the
You'd
Tides
be cooking for 2
pavilions.
days to get one
Yeah,
hot dog.
you couldn't cook enough hamburgers and hot dogs on that thing in 3 hours to feed all those
So
people.
we can
but
just
you
have
guys
that
could
out.
restrict
And
the
that may be-
size.
The real issue may be just the size. We may need to talk about the size we're gonna buy to put out there.
So-
All right,
Yeah, you guys could restrict the size of even personal grills
Right.
that are,
Okay, we'll go back and chew on it some more. I made a motion. Did anybody second it? Did send it back to Park?
I think, Rita seconded, all right. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0. Thank you all, appreciate it.
It's a great idea, though.
Item number 10, Land Bank Authority. Consider request from staff to review the study completed by KB Advisory Group and review their recommendations for the Land Bank Authority. All right, let's get into this one.
So I think the Board of Commissioners have had the opportunity to review the material provided by KB Advisory Group. Staff's recommendation was in the packet for you this evening, but we would love to hear your thoughts and considerations for how we maintain and keep the Land Bank Authority active and working for our community.
You
And
want us to
so
say
everybody
something?
knows, Newton Galloway is here, who is the chairman of the Land Bank Authority. One of the other members is here, so everybody, so yes. So we've got a number of people here that are involved in this. We can take this kind of a piece by piece and talk about it. I think everybody's had an opportunity to read through staff recommendations. We know what the city has already done. Let's talk, if you don't mind, let's start. I say let's start with who the director is going to be and who the director is going to work for.
In my opinion, I think that the director needs to be, I know it's been floated whether it's gonna be a county employee or a city employee. I think it needs to be a county employee because this is gonna be a countywide thing. And like county employee, or city employees, like their jurisdiction ends at the city limits. So that just, it, not being a county board or whatever, but if that person's gonna have to work for one or the other, like, it makes more sense for it to be a countywide, even though most of the action and opportunities are gonna be inside the city limits, like, I mean, Chief Gates stops right at the border, you know what I'm
Commissioner
saying?
Dutton, this is compared more like Robert Mole, the airport director, who is
Works for both of
officially a
us.
city employee, but he's employed by the Spalding County Airport Authority. So he's basically a shared employee, somewhat like, for us, the general manager of the Water Authority.
What when I discussed earlier, I wanted it to be someone who only reported and worked for that authority, that the authority should be independently empowered like the airport authority. Like, but this is the first I heard that Robert wasn't the airport authority's employee, that he was a city employee.
He's personnel.
He is under the
He is
city's
carried under the
personnel
city of Griffin,
policy.
And that would be all that he would be for us, is that we would do his check, we would do his benefits, we would provide his office, his car, all of those things. But in reality, we, the executive director or the manager or whoever it is, should work for the board.
No, that's 100%.
They should, but our problem has always been that we felt like there was no accountability. I don't think that we need to remake how that is. I went through the process, it was like birthing a child, and, you know, it ended up being a delinquent, in some cases. But I think the first thing that anybody does is that there needs to be a strategic plan. We've all spent the last 4 years creating strategic plans. You know, that needs to be one of the things that I feel like we say to them needs to happen. Secondly, I feel there was some talk about, okay, each commissioner could appoint someone. I'm not really sure about that, but I do feel that a commissioner from the city and the county
Agreed.
should serve on the board.
Setting
And-
up more like the airport.
And the
seems-
reason I say that is because how can the authority really know the direction that the county is looking at or the city is looking at if they don't have the input of us bringing that information to them?
Oh yeah, look, the airport authority looks at me and
Right.
Ryan and goes, well, what does the county think? And then we look at Doug Holberg and go, what does the city think? You know, like, it's, yeah.
So, but in terms of the other things, I do think that everybody on the board, whichever number we come up with, should be reappointed. And one of the reasons is because we have no way to stagger. That if everybody's pretty much got the same date, everybody can come on and off at the same time. So like with the water authority, somebody came on A couple people came on for 6 years, a couple people came on for 4 years, a couple people came on for 2 years, and then the next time that the 2-year time was up, they were able to come back in for 6. So I think we need to allow ourselves the opportunity for there to always be enough people who know what's going on.
And when we renegotiated the interlocal agreement, that was something that we struggled with, was trying to figure out a way to stagger. And we just were not able to do that. We weren't able to come, yes, with the current, Land Bank Authority interlocal agreement, we were not able to come up with a way to stagger those
Remember,
terms.
we got city people, we got county people, we put
And
them
you have
on there.
a school board person
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
Well, that
Um,
makes it an odd number, so that's good.
and then a member from each board. I mean, you could probably do great with a lot more people, but I think that's a workable number. My whole problem has always been that there really hasn't been that knowledge from the city and the county board of commissioners.
But if there's gonna be an executive whose job it is, like, that guy's gonna stay.
Okay, let's go back. We agree that there's going to be an executive, and we're saying it's going to work for,
I don't care.
I think it should work for that board. However, that then gets set up with who's our HR. If it's like the airport authority.
And I think the reason, for the argument for them to be under the city's personnel policy is that the majority of the properties
Right,
are in
clearly.
the city
and
of
we have to
Griffin.
have some kind of accountability, really and truly. That's a huge issue, and if you look at the chairman as an example, the amount of hours for land bank that he's putting in, trying to.
To do
make
the
people-
executive director's job.
He can't do that, so we need to have it work for either Jessica or Steve.
So, and the reason I think that's a good idea, I agree with James, that the director should be over, but I think that
To
if
get
it's
there.
Jessica or Steve, we got that 1 year probation, or whatever you call it, that you have somebody to work closely with you to help you through the hurdles, or somebody that you can, hey, this is what I got going on, blah, 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 blah. So, I'm just being real.
Do you,
I know you don't need another extra person to be in charge of, so I say let the city.
But I mean, will that mean that
That's
the city,
it.
the
Now,
city
do-
manager could fire that person if they wanted?
No,
not without, the consent of the board, no.
Okay. Yeah.
And-
Could
and
this
there's no
person,
issue-
could this
and-
person be a shared person with the city and county? Like, is there somebody who's currently working with, as the city person now doing this?
It is a good
No.
issue.
There is no,
there's nobody doing
There's
that.
there is nobody employed at this point
Yeah,
as
there's
the
nobody
executive
working it now, but-
director.
So, but the whole goal is to allow them to become, the director to become independent. You don't want them to get here and be so snowed and over. So we need to have that directorship help from either Steve or from Jessica to help them to move forward.
Do you agree do all of you agree that that should be a full-time position as
Oh,
opposed to a
yes.
part-time
Yes.
position? Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Good.
Everybody nod north,
Yes.
south, yes.
Okay.
And let's solve the problem. Okay, so let's make it, if we wanna do it, let's make it for 3 years. That person is going to work for either Jessica or Steve. And then after the
Well,
3-year.
Work for the board, HR run through Jessica or Steve.
Right, they won't,
Work for Jessica or Steve is very different than.
That is correct.
It
They would
would-
work for the board with
Through.
HR support from either the county or the city.
And
Just like
accountability,
airport authority.
there's a huge accountability issue that I wanna make sure.
well, I mean, just like Steve and Jessica has a meeting with somebody every month about something, that would be an opportunity to, if somebody coming in new can go right to the top or to Stephanie and say, hey, this is what we need, or what are you guys doing about
Jerry
this?
Johnson's
No,
what
sure.
she said.
That's what
Think
they,
about it
Steve and.
as Joseph
Okay.
Johnson, the Water
Right.
Authority
All right,
General
so
Manager.
And I think, let's give it I think it should be for, let's do the first time
Three-year
for,
contracts?
okay? We all,
So the board presently has 5 members,
Yes,
Yes.
5 members.
and so with
2 from us, 2 from the city, 1 from the.
and these are 2 voting members. We've been down this road not
Right.
making voting members. We agree?
So in a city and a county
Commissioner,
commissioner. Now, we talked before about having the directors from planning and development or a planner, so that would make it be 2 more people.
I'm personally for that.
So, but
It's set
if
on
you
the
got
airport authority.
you got commissioner, and you got a planner, you already got most of the votes on the board. So maybe those planners will either come in as liaison or whatever, but not necessarily.
Advisor to the commissioner.
And I believe having them, based on the workshop that I attended for the city, and Newton and Sharon can chime in as well, the reason for the increase in the size of the board was to include those folks as well. So to include a Kelly and a Chad.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
I don't know,
We've got it.
I see the person that we hire as that person. The person that we hire is the expert in it. It's not just a bookkeeper. Like
But what we're looking for is not someone who has huge expertise in land bank. This is what I'm thinking about.
Right.
I think we need a manager.
So if you haven't been to a land bank authority meeting, then you really don't, I mean, it's hard to know the importance of having a Chad there, for example. So,
Both of your planners need to at least be in attendance, because one of the problems we've had, one of the things that's cited here, is the failure to plan strategically for properties to be acquired.
Yeah.
So, for example, we have done a better job with that, but for example, if we know the city, the housing authority, or the county have particular interest in a particular area, and we can see a piece of property that is tax delinquent come up, then your executive director would know that that should be a target. I don't have any problem with the representatives from the city and representatives of the county need to be there. We've got a 5-member volunteer board, unelected, but they need to be there. Cynthia is there for the city almost every meeting when we've had meetings. The county does not have the level of property involved in land bank tax delinquencies that the city does. And also, the county's properties are more marketable because it's not a substandard house on a 10th acre lot.
Every house that's in the city is in the county. And it's
Yes.
just as important to me to get those back on the tax rolls as it is those 62 that we got.
sure,
It
but
is.
Mr. Galloway's talking about the fact that within unincorporated Spalding County, there aren't
As many.
there aren't as many with
little tiny.
and houses that are all over the line or at least
Right,
this
between
close
two
to
lots,
it.
uh-huh.
The problem in the unincorporated part of the county, and when I know a property in the city is in the county, I know that. But the properties that are in the unincorporated county just don't have the same level of problems, and there aren't as many.
Totally.
But having those planners there to direct us as far as what properties that we should be looking at also gives us the opportunity to do a title exam on those properties prior to the tax sale, so that we know what we're up against. I mean, most of the properties that the land bank owns are crap, and
Their titles are
they
all
have
messed up.
terrible titles.
So if we
And-
have somebody that's designated to do that, let's say we could put both of them on there, right? If we did Michelle and we did Chad?
Yeah, so if
For
we did Kelly and
example,
Chad.
Kelly and Chad.
Kelly, I mean.
Kelly and Chad, yes.
For example,
We could
for
appoint you
the
guys.
September tax sales, Sylvia conducted a tax sale. We got a notice 2 weeks in advance. I just got a notice for an October tax sale. Okay. 2 weeks is a limited amount of time for an executive director or anybody else to be able to sit there
Right.
and be able to identify what the city or the county's policies are pertinent to that piece of property. And also keep in mind, largely, we're going to get what's left over after the tax sale. Now, sometimes that can be of great benefit. We have assembled enough tracts in certain areas to where there are opportunities after a few more tracts are obtained to have a redevelopment possibility.
but that is not true everywhere.
But if we had Kelly and Chad there pointing us to properties that they are aware of that they're tax delinquent, but they may not be on Sylvia's
It's
radar
tax
yet.
sale.
But we could still, we could approach her about the possibility of,
So, all right, do we want to
But we're
put,
looking for those advocates anyway, that's what we
And-
said we
Yes.
wanted.
We
do we want to
need,
put on we're talking about from the county, do we want to put on a commissioner and the community developer?
I think that we should, I just have a problem, one of us shouldn't be able to vote. Either the commissioner shouldn't be able to vote, or the planner shouldn't. Well, the planner probably shouldn't vote because they're a paid employee.
correct.
And they're going to be the advisor to the
Okay,
commissioner.
They're
so
the-
yeah,
the
a
planners and
nine-member
the-
board with the addition of the city and is it 9?
5, 6,
It's 5, we have
it's
5.
currently
Y'all
five.
have 5
Five.
with 2 commissioners and 2 planners or directors.
non-voting though. So it'll be a 7-member board with 2
Two advisors.
advisors. We all,
like that
we okay
idea.
with that?
So the question is, are we gonna make Steve have to be, in charge of personnel, or are we gonna just go with the city and allow them to be?
If I could make it, we have to have somebody full-time.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And whether
clearly.
it's in the city, whether they are deemed to
No,
be.
no,
in-
we're all past that. We're all agreed.
Well,
We're
what-
gonna hire
what-
somebody, somebody's gonna be hired full-time.
What-
It's just a
what-
matter of is Steve gonna be in charge of them, for HR purposes, or is Jessica?
Somebody in a traditional employment environment needs to be able to overview what that person's doing to make certain the job's getting done.
Well, and that's, I mean, hopefully
And that
that
could
will
be
only
either
be a
Steve
year or 2
or
years.
Jessica.
I said 3 years only because we can change that up. Jessica's already said yes to it. I think
Just let
we
them
stay
go.
at 3 years, full-time employee, add commissioner from each place, and a non-voting, director of
Planners.
community development.
And
We
I
agree
can
with
tell
that?
you how it works with the airport authority. So Jessica, does an evaluation of the airport director. The chair of the airport authority also does an
Okay.
evaluation.
So should we kind of put like, maybe a evaluation period, like maybe, every
Yes.
6 months, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months, to see exactly how far we're moving along with
Yeah.
some of these parcels?
Yes,
Again,
but
that
I
seems
would
something
say
like
an
the land
evaluation period
Yeah,
every
that's
year.
the board.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's
what-
the land bank authority's job to do.
Yeah.
An
I get it.
evaluation
I
period
get it.
every year, but it's got to be full-time, and either the city or the county who has primary responsibility for overview of that person can make recommendations on what should be done on a personnel issue.
This
But
will
I do
develop-
As a
think,
volunteer, and I think I can speak for Ms. Copeland and for Sharon, we do not have the time or the individual resources to
To do this
monitor
stuff.
that
Sure.
employee.
And then over a period of
And-
time, this will become, David Lucky, this will become somebody
Yeah, we're
different. But
hoping
it's
that-
gonna take a while for us to get that moving in that direction, my belief is. So we start off with a 3-year period to get it ready, and then the board comes back to us and says, hey, we're ready to
Yeah, we
do this
take
differently.
your hands off.
but I do think, Newton, that they could require a more frequent update.
Correct.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Because I
Okay,
mean,
yeah. How
Because
about a-
currently,
The-
you're not,
how
there
about
there
an
is
annual
nothing that
requirement
requires an
To come to see
update.
us,
Yeah.
the chairman of the board comes and briefs the BOC on an annual basis.
Now, understand, the proposal is for the office to be moved to the housing authority or building, which is the appropriate place. They have space and we have to work with Bob regularly. But the overview would be by
Jessica.
Jessica.
Okay?
I'm fine with that, because I know that their interest is going to be in getting those city properties straightened out. And when they fix that, then we'll get fixed,
Cool.
so.
All right. Did you make a motion there?
I will,
what about the staggering of the boards? Do we say that's not the people on there? Are we saying we are doing that or not?
They're just
That-
all, just like the airport authority, they'll all be 1-year terms, so they might stagger
I just
based on
remember-
when they're reappointed or whatever.
Okay. I just know Stephanie was saying that there was an issue with it. I didn't know.
She's saying we didn't reach one for like multi-year terms.
right, when we
staggered.
tried to redo the
How long is it,
IGA.
how long are you
we
on?
couldn't figure
What's your
out.
term?
So there's a 1-year term.
I've been on far too long.
Okay.
But you see what I'm saying? You
Sharon,
you-
how
term
long
is-
is your term?
The term is 4 years.
4 years.
The term is
Okay.
4 years, and we need to have them staggered because you would think tax delinquent property sales would not be of significant complexity, but they are.
How to stagger.
There's gonna have to be some some sort of direction as to how that happens.
Can we give that to the chairman of the land bank to create a staggered, situation? And
We could come back with a recommendation to you, but ultimately, that's something that needs to be in the intergovernmental agreement.
Yeah,
It
I think
needs
that,
to
yeah,
be-
we just need to agree in the intergovernmental agreement that when we reappoint, how many people will be appointed for what amount of time, and then it can roll.
I don't think y'all are ready for a motion though, because there's an entire issue of the 2012 Land Bank Act, which is,
And I will-
kind of important.
And I want to address that, because right now, we're operating under the enabling legislation that precedes the 2012 Land Bank Act. The 2012 Land Bank Act provided for a significant expansion of land bank power. Now, right now, we have one critical issue that's got to be addressed first, and that is, we've got to get properties closed on which we have pending contracts. Even though there's a provision in the contracts that they expire, we have people who expect that approval of those contracts would result in them buying property and have the ability to buy property. That is our most crucial issue. We have roughly 120 properties under contract for which we either have to have Stephanie tell us this can't be closed because there's too complex, the title's too complex, or we can move it to where it can be closed. And here's my suggestion, and this is what I told the city. I do not favor expansion of the Land Bank Authority until we have cleared out the backlog of those contracts.
You mean going under 2012?
Correct.
Oh, no, we don't need to go into anything
No.
new until we fix what we did in the old thing.
That's correct. Now, at that point, when we get the backlog cleared out, either by advising the person who contracted that this is not going to work because we can't clear the title, or getting them through to closing, we get that backlog out within a reasonable time. And if both governments desire to expand Land Bank Authority, which would allow us to go into a tax sale and bid against a private purchaser, which would allow the land bank to engage in a tax levy if they voted to do it, but clean up the backlog of the contracts before we make a policy decision to expand it. And I can happily report that by the end of my term will end before that occurs, and someone else will have to deal with the expansion of the authority of the land bank.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. So
It's succession plan.
literally, what's the potential that out of 120 properties that you have contracts on, which in my brain, I'm like, how in the hell do you have 120 properties you got contract on? But how many of those properties do we know? Because, I still have the issue about the lady who came to us and her deed wasn't clear, so she couldn't sell her property. What do we do about looking at those 120 properties and making sure that those titles are not messed up?
Stephanie's
And that we
got-
don't move forward on something that's going.
Stephanie's got to do the requisite title work, or Becca Owen is going to have to do the requisite title work.
And we have run title on probably over 100 land bank properties. The problem has been that that the title would just kind of be run and then it would kind of sit there, and nothing would happen. And when I say they're crap, I mean, I know that that's not exactly a proper legal term, but
Yeah. it is.
Depends on the court.
There are issues with the title.
there are issues with most of the
With some of the
titles, which is probably why they were left over at the tax sale. My hope is that we would hire an executive director who couldn't run the titles, but could actually assist with the foreclosure of the right of redemption
Right.
process. You don't have to be an attorney to foreclose the right
Right.
of redemption.
Just follow the code.
You just have to follow the
Follow the
code.
code.
And part of the problem, I think, in the past has been, at least with the most recent executive director, she was concerned that she might not find all of the people and entities that needed to be served. And service is a very, very important thing, because if you miss somebody, then you have to do it over. And so,
Just cost.
If it's challenged, or if you
Yeah.
get a petition to quiet title.
in 20 years,
When,
but-
and understand, when the land bank conveys property, it's conveyed by a quitclaim deed, which is not a warranty of title. And what we tell people is, okay, you've gotten this piece of property for $1,000, let's say. Now, it's up to you to get a petition to quiet title done so that your title is clear, and you are able then to borrow money through a standard financing transaction.
So I hear what you're saying, and you're making it sound like you're saying use 3 eggs, put some flour in, and then stir for 2 minutes. But what you're really saying is figure out what E equals MC square and how you're gonna get from here to the moon. Because the average person who's getting that piece of property from you don't have a clue what you're, all they're hearing is, it's costing me $1,000 and I have to do something else later.
And
That's correct.
I
That's
promise you
exact-
that is a
that is
problem
exactly.
that we run into frequently, even though it is, I mean, we've amended the contracts, we've changed them such that they explain everything as clearly as
you
we
can.
possibly can.
So-
But
So
people
this,
still
this is
don't
my
understand.
real concern then now, is that if you do have 120 properties, why do the work that it's gonna take to do it if you really don't even know if it's clear and that you can do anything with it? And is there some way that you can sit down and look at those properties and see, okay, this is side lot, this is adjacent to a county property, this is adjacent to the city park? Clearly, you can just tell people, you're not gonna be able to get that. So that's what I'm saying. I hear you got 120 properties, but is there any way to pare that list down based on some of the other things that we're talking about?
One of the things we need, Gwen, is for a report from Stephanie on the ones, as we get an executive director, one of the first things we need to do is review those contracts that are pending. And if it is not likely that we can get sufficient legal title to be able to foreclose the right of redemption, we need to advise those folks who are the other contracting party and tell them you're not gonna be able to get this property.
because the process in the past was when we get a contract,
Correct.
then we'll check the title. And, I mean, I have title certificates that
Bless your
probably
heart.
stack up
It didn't
that
work.
high.
It didn't work. The side lot program has worked, where somebody comes to the land bank and they own a piece of property next to a land bank property, and this has particularly been successful in the city, where the lots are small. And if we have a piece of property and they are willing to take the property and reconfigure that property into one lot with theirs, we give it to them. So you take, let's say 2 10th-acre lots, and you wind up with almost a 1/4-acre lot, which is, I think, a benefit to the city and benefit to the tax digest. The county does, properties that are in unincorporated county do not have that problem.
I personally think that the side lot program is the land bank's crown jewel. And if you read KB Advisory Group's assessment, they praised that program as well.
Okay.
So what are we in agreement here?
We're in agreement with the city's recommendations to have a 9-member board, that the employee will basically be personnel out of the city of Griffin. And we help pay some portion of whatever it costs, car, blah, 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 blah. We will not change to the 2012 IGA. We will continue to work under the old IGA until they can
we will have to amend the IGA to
Correct.
expand the board and to make a few other
Right,
tweaks.
and-
And especially if we're going to talk about
And hiring
staggering
a
terms.
full-time
Executive director.
Yes.
executive director.
So, okay, so based on what Newton was saying, and I guess we're agreeing to the fact that we're not going to extend the board now until we actually get the backlog taken care of. Is that what we're agreeing to this?
You,
Okay.
you can go ahead and expand the board
Expand
if
the
you'd
board.
like to,
Not
Okay.
expand-
but
not expand
don't
to the
expand
2012.
the powers of
Got
the
it.
board
Okay.
Yeah.
until we get the
We're
backlog.
expanding the board and we're hiring full-time employee. That's the key things to us.
But the 2012 agreement changed what we had initially, which meant that you could do a lot more stuff as an
They
authority.
could do a tax levy.
But we don't
But you
think
have
that-
to elect to
that
go
we
under
make
it, and
that.
that's when you would
Okay.
make the election to go under it, when
They're cleaned up.
we've got the backlog out.
So next steps would be IGA and then hiring. Okay.
Got it?
So do we need to make a motion to, I said my stuff. I said what I was thinking about, right?
I
said
think
it.
this is just more of a recommendation
Okay.
and allowing the county manager and the city manager to discuss this further along with input from the Land Bank Authority and also input from the planners, from Chad and from Kelly.
But you have what you need from us on guidance on what we want to have done.
We do.
Full-time,
We've
number
got
of people. Okay, all right.
Thank you, guys.
Before we get off of that, just so y'all know, everything is not just a complete mess. Since 2017, Land Bank has sold and closed 89 properties. And that added back on the tax rolls $1.9 million.
That's super.
Yay.
The sales revenue, though, of those 90 properties was only $124,500, which means we were getting about $1,500 on average per property, because that's the condition of the properties that are available. But it has generated tax revenue back on those properties of right at $23,500 a year.
I am of the opinion that the city and the county, when they are restructuring this agreement, that they should take into consideration some of your requirements for the land bank as far as restricting it to
Home
owner
ownership.
occupied.
That's in the current intergovernmental agreement. But let me warn you, though, because we've had this discussion in the land bank before, we believe that out of those 89 to 90 properties that have a deed restriction requiring owner occupancy, that probably 30%, roughly a third of those, probably are in violation of that deed restriction.
And the land bank does not have the funding to
Go after.
go after those.
Correct.
So
We're
we're
taking baby
putting in a
steps.
worthless deed
We've
restriction.
got to take baby steps to get this all ready to go. Let's take the first few baby steps. We'll come
Bring it back
and
to
get
us when you got.
And I
And
might
thank
add-
you, Doc. Thank you.
Can
We
I just
appreciate
add,
it.
Clay, real quick, I mean, not to prolong this any further, but I do want us to have more updated information, regarding the land bank. I mean, because we don't get this on a regular basis.
We would like to have, Chairman, if you wouldn't mind, come back 6 months from now.
That's fine.
6 months from now and talk to us about where we are and how it's moving.
Well, I'm not in hiding. I will see y'all Thursday night for zoning
Yeah,
hearings. So
yeah,
y'all-
that's, yes. For those of you that don't know, he is also the zoning attorney, and Thursday night is planning and zoning.
Can I ask one more question, Mr. Chairman? So Stephanie, would it be a land bank authority policy to have some sort of clawback arrangement when people violate when they're, not in compliance? Or would that be something that would be in the IGA?
Typically, that's something that would be in the IGA because the direction to this point, at least since, Newton's been involved in it since the beginning.
day one.
But since my involvement, that's been what they were directed to do. And they're directed to do things
Out
by
of
the
the
city and the
IGA.
county, yes.
Okay, so
Y'all,
yeah.
y'all added the owner occupancy requirement in the last iteration of the IGA, But we had adopted that as a policy anyway.
Before that.
We have sold one house for rental, one property for rental, and that was in a condominium development off of South Pine Hill, where the entire condominium development was rental property.
Totally understand. I mean, that makes sense. So yeah, we need to clean that up because we have restricted ourselves to the place where we can't even move around in our own box because of the rules that we got set up. So hopefully we'll see that in the IGA.
We could sell every property the land bank has tomorrow to investors.
Well,
Who would come in here?
We have actually had proposals to buy every
Feel
property.
a piece of crap.
that's,
For rental
that's a
property.
big, that's a big thing.
All right, I'll have my brain
I
working.
mean, you have to
waiting.
give, you've gotta give them flexibility to say no.
Well,
to-
yeah.
To that sort of thing.
And I mean, and clearly, over the past 10 years, what we've done to try to create home ownership, we don't really know if that happened. We do know some properties got back on the tax roll, but what we were going after and trying to make more homeowners, their hands were pretty much tied in order to be able to do that, so, yeah.
Generating increased tax revenue is a side benefit of this,
Yeah.
increasing the quality of housing for
And
the people who live in
decreasing
Spalding County.
substandard
That's
housing.
right, that's the goal.
Okay.
I mean,
All right,
by-
we've
the
done-
byproduct is
Yeah.
extra tax revenue.
Item number 11, repairs at the Spalding County Jail. Consider approval of a contract with Foster Plumbing Contractors for emergency repairs required at the Spalding County Jail. Dr. Ledbetter?
Yeah, earlier this year, the board agreed to expend up to $3 million for repairs of the jail. Thanks to Brian Upson and Paragon and the great work of our sheriff and Tony Thompson, they have done just a fabulous job at pulling all of the requirements together. Foster Plumbing Contractors have been the only commercial contractors who would bid on the work, and they have returned a price for materials, equipment, and labor at $874,837 for the emergency repairs of plumbing. This includes both the water and the sewer side for our jail. And it's staff's recommendation, and I believe it's the sheriff's recommendation as well, that we move forward with this contract and immediately award Foster Plumbing Contractors to begin work on doing the repairs for our jail.
Is this a complete job, or is this just a piece of it? Or-
This is one piece of it. This is the water and sewer
I was
piece,
hoping.
but it is not the HVAC or the ventilation piece of the puzzle.
No, but this is for
This
plumbing.
is the
This
lar-
whole kit and caboodle for
The
plumbing.
only other thing that's outstanding on this is, we have requested pricing on putting in low-flow shower heads, controllable toilets, to cut down on some of the intentional flooding. We're waiting on those prices for those items to come back in, but it'll be negligible compared to what we've done here.
I have reviewed the master service agreement and it's approved as to form.
So I was looking at Brian's report about the jail, and it seemed like at some point he was saying that the repairs would be able to go to a certain spot, but they couldn't go beyond that. And does that mean there's old stuff under something that they can't get to, or
Some of
what?
it they're gonna have to bypass, yes, ma'am, because some of the places where some of the piping, especially the sewage is, it may be 12 inches underneath, the concrete, but in some places it may be 6 to 8 feet underneath the concrete. So some of, they're going to have to
To
bypass.
redirect.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that was what my concern was, that we were just fixing a piece and we wouldn't hit everything that you needed.
No, ma'am. When they originally made this presentation to us, when we looked at the blueprints, it actually stopped in all the hallways. They didn't go into any of the internal plumbing. And we told them that they needed to go back and redo it. And Brian's group from Paragon got with them again and said, no, this is not what we were talking about. This is what we're talking about. This is what they came back with. That is a comprehensive repair.
So, you have the $3 million, we talked about that earmarked. And we're
Yes,
talking about 864,000 that we're using. Obviously, you've got a lot of other stuff going on in there. I mean, are you obviously looking ahead a list that we're gonna get maybe?
Yes,
Of
ma'am.
what that looks like?
One of the main things that we have going on out there now is we have 2 chillers that cool the entire building. One of the chillers is like in a standby mode. The other chiller is about to die. That's a $250,000 repair just for the chillers. We are also looking at repairing a lot of the door lock mechanisms and the control panels that some of you have seen out there that are literally put together with electrical tape and Sharpie pens to get some of that. Those are safety issues and safety concerns. And we are looking at some of that, but we're not going to actually get pricing on any of that until after this is done. We don't want to put the cart before the horse.
Right. Okay.
Sheriff, you think it's the right thing to do?
I think that it is a right now thing to do, because we don't have any choice. We have no place to put people if we have a massive breakdown, and this is a right now issue. And I think this is about as good, if not the best, we're gonna find.
Motion to approve.
All right, have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I have a second. I wanted to ask the sheriff one more question.
We're in discussion. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, okay.
No.
Sorry. I'm having a brain fart. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just want to make sure that, okay, you said the chiller.
Yes, ma'am.
So have we already put that out for bid? Because
We-
clearly if one breaks and you got one for backup, the backup will always break.
Yes, ma'am. We have 2 quotes for that, one from our current maintenance supplier, Facilities Control Group, and another one from Johnson Control. And we're looking at those right now to see if we can trim some out of both of those.
Okay, that's all I had.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All right, any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion passes. Thank you, County Manager and Sheriff. Okay. Report of the County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This week, if you'll push forward one. This week, I had the opportunity to attend the Georgia Planning Association Fall Conference. While there, I was, it was a great opportunity to be a part of a panel for the Georgia Smart Planning for Smarter Communities statewide session at that conference. This panel featured perspectives from representatives from several Georgia Smart communities that took part of the Partnership for Inclusive Innovation program that we participated with Georgia Tech. Remember, Spalding County is a finalist in the IEEE Smart Cities Award that will be presented next week in Cypress. And the picture that you see in front of you are of me and the panelists that participated. There were representatives from across the state of Georgia from the planning side that came, and it was a privilege to showcase Spalding County. Our T-SPLOST, if you'll push forward just one. Our T-SPLOST work continues with 52% of our work behind us. C.W. Matthews, our contractor, is currently working on Rover Zatella Road, and I believe they're doing a great job. Good news, bad news. Big Blue is finished with one exception. There is a supply chain issue. They do not have a driver's seat. So we are waiting on a driver's seat, and as soon as the driver's seat comes in, we will take delivery of Big Blue.
Okay.
Our work to hire more code enforcement officers continue. This is a top priority on staff's list, so please stand by, more to come. Again, thank you to Ms. Jenna Garrison and her staff for 20 years of outstanding service. The administrative team continues to ensure that our finances are accounted for and presented to our community in a full, transparent mode. Please join us this Thursday afternoon as our final public hearing for our millage rate. That public hearing will begin at 5:30. Thank you to the City of Griffin, their staff, and elected officials for the work that's currently ongoing and continuing to finalize our lost renegotiation and our service delivery strategy. So kudos to our city partners. Our comprehensive plan and our capital improvement element deadline is quickly approaching, October 31st, 2022. Our consultants are working to finalize our documents for presentation to you. And we will get that completed within the next month, so more to come. Thank you to the Board of Commissioners for the proclamation this evening regarding voter registration. Please, if you have not already done so, go by the registration office, the voter registration office, and sign up to vote. This is an awesome opportunity that we as citizens have to be a part of our government. Kudos to the team over at the animal shelter. They are consistently highlighting the adoptions on Facebook and other social media sites. Just this past week, the state performed their quarterly audit of the facility and recognized the shelter for its cleanliness and the attention to detail that our employees show the animals, and for those of us who do go by and visit, either for adoption or just to go by and walk one of the puppies or play with one of the cats. There's lots going on in Spalding County over the next few months. Please come and join us as we continue to promote our great county. Thank you very much.
All right. Commissioner Johnson?
Okay, once again, piggyback on congratulations to Jenna Garrison and all that she does for us, Board of Commissioners, and for the citizens and for Steve. This morning, that was a fun meeting that we had. I have a couple questions about the presentation, Steve, that you actually proposed to us. I noticed in all three of those examples when we just discussed the rollback that the bonds were going to be affected negatively regardless of what we do. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Jenna and I have, Ms. Garrison and I have had many conversations about how the depletion of our fund balance, which is our savings account, will negatively impact our bond rating as we move forward.
Okay, so regardless if we roll back or not, that's going to be a big deal.
It's going to be a big deal, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and if the board chooses to not do the rollback, okay, and do we know how that would affect with the auditors coming to us as they do annually to explain what that means to this county?
They would come in and share with you what the impact would be. Yes, ma'am, they would.
Will affect our bond ratings?
They would be able to do that, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I've been having conversations with our bond representative through Raymond James on some other areas of opportunity within our county, and that has been top of the list in the conversation that we have had about how much money we're depleting out of our fund balance.
Okay, and last question about that, and I guess this is posed to Stephanie. Are there any legal issues, I guess, tied to, I mean, the fact that we've committed to the ARPA funds that we've received? The fact with the whole rollback situation, is there something that could possibly get us in any trouble if we did roll back?
Well, you just
Look
don't
around
ever
the
know.
room, here we are.
You
We've
just
just, I mean, we've accepted a whole lot of money here, so we can wait on that.
The county manager posed the question to me earlier. Could the federal government take back ARPA funds? And of course, the federal government
can do
could
anything.
take back money. But the rule as far as the rollback applied to the state, and the general consensus is from GMA and ACCG that it did not apply to municipalities and counties.
Is that in writing?
Yeah, I really don't have.
Is that in writing?
Seriously.
Okay, that's all I have,
They
is
have
some
been wrong
things
in
to
the
think
past.
about.
Okay. Commissioner Bolden?
I had several business owners today bring up a point about our new enterprise, vehicle leasing program we was talking about, using. Are these, and I know Steve's already answered it, but I want him to say it where everybody else can hear it. Is this going to affect the local businesses? Do they have a chance to do the work and continue the work on county vehicles?
So after our conversation earlier today, Commissioner Bolden, I did reach back out to Enterprise, and they have assured me that if we have local maintenance shops that want to participate in the program, there is an application process that they can fill out and become an Enterprise-approved vendor, which would not only allow them to work on county-owned or leased vehicles, but all of Enterprise vehicles moving forward. So this would be a win-win if those companies decided to participate.
Yeah, 'cause it'd be nice, just say for a deputy, for example, gets a flat tire in the morning, he could stop by one of the local shops and get it fixed instead of having to hightail it up the road, Stockbridge, McDonough, and be gone and off the road for.
Absolutely, and we would want that too, because we want to keep our deputies right here at home and keep them close by for calls.
Okay. My second thing is, DeAndre and y'all, thank y'all for getting the stuff out there on social media. Share it more, is all I can say, because there's a lot of people ask, Sarah, I got 2 phone calls today about it. How do we know when to have meetings? I said, we have one for every first and third Monday of every month. And they're like, well, let me see what's on the agendas. I said, well, and I walked them through it. Went all the way through to our website, got to the agenda page, and I had to eat crow for a second because our system was down. I picked the one day that happened not to be on there. And I said, here it is, and it wasn't there. But just keep everything, keep doing what you're doing, and share it. I got it today. I got it today. Thank you. I sent it to him. Updates on, I'm gonna start with Yarborough Mill with the chip and seal. Have they fixed that yet?
Yes, they have.
Okay.
Yes, they have. They're in the process of doing the 3rd coat on Yarborough Mill, and they're going to extend it. So you'll see more there.
Okay.
Amelia Road has been completely fixed, so there's no more washboarding on Amelia Road. And then TJ and Scott and I are bringing back to the board, if not October the 3rd, then the 2nd meeting in October for the completion of Pineview for the chip and seal on Pineview.
Okay. And the West Ellis Road repair on the resurfacing.
Yeah, C.W. Matthews was all over that. So they did a really good job at getting that fixed. One of the things that they came back and shared with us is that particular issue was caused by a brand-new piece of equipment that they put out, and it was a learning curve. So they were glad that we brought it to them. They fixed the issue, and I've not seen any more problems out of the work that they've been doing in the last week.
Okay. And my last thing was, I really liked seeing the people show up today for the millage rate hearing, but I was very disheartened there was only Sun City people. I love you, Sun City people, don't get me wrong.
Thank you.
But where was my District 4 people at? Nobody showed up. I mean, wish you was here. I would love to heard from you. But just get involved. Show up at these meetings. They're important. I mean, we're listening to you. If you're not up here speaking, I don't hear you. But just get involved. Thank y'all.
Okay. Commissioner Flowers Taylor?
I would just like to, again, extend my sympathy to the city of Griffin and all the staff there and the Keller family in the passing of Brant Keller. He's really gonna be missed. I went to a class one time at ACCG about wastewater, and he was an instructor. And I was like, okay, he's the dude.
Yeah, he is. Was.
His many contributions and his quirky personality will not soon be forgotten. I want to just urge people to drive slowly in the school zones. I went to pick up my grandson from Jackson Road School, and I think our police guy was a little bit slow getting there. And even though all the cars were parked off the roadway, people were still kind of just barreling up 16 like whatever. So I hope the camera is working. Cause they obviously don't want their money. But yeah, just, remember this is a school zone, kids will dart out and do all kinds of crazy stuff, and it's just, if you late, you late already. Don't be trying to speed through the school zone to get where you're going. This morning, when we had our public hearing, I left here very, very upset. I left here upset because this is just Gwen talking. When people talk to me as if I don't have property taxes, as if I don't have problems with my gas, as if I'm sitting on a wad of money down there in East Griffin, and that I don't have sense enough to figure out how to pay my own bills, I resent that. And when you come with false information, and one person, it was 23% increase, it was 14%, it was 17%, I get it. I totally get it. But when I go to Food Depot and buy a loaf of bread, it costs me $1.50 more than it did a year and a half ago. And so I get it. It costs me more to live at my house, and maybe we're not buying some stuff or we're doing some stuff differently. But it still costs. So if we're here as commissioners, it still costs to get a big metal fire truck. It costs to get the sheriff's rooter problem fixed. I mean, you know, these are things, there's this expectation, and I actually sort of resented, you know, the group of people who were here who were saying we don't use these things. They're here for you to use if you want to use them. You living a good life because you got a swimming pool a block away from your house, and you got pickleball, and you got tennis courts, and you got bike trail. Well, good for you. But everybody over here on the south side still need to go over to City Park and play basketball. They still need to go out to Airport Road track. They still need to go over to Wyoming Tire soccer field. They still need to go out to Ambucks because there's nobody out there caring about those kids over there. That's right. So if you're listening, wherever, don't talk to us like we stupid. We get it, and I get it that you're upset. But you're not the entirety of Spalding County. And the fact that the entirety of Spalding County was not here this morning tells me that other people understand that it's just rough times right now. And you cannot, we can't stop letting people take their trash to the compactor. We can't stop letting people go to the senior center. I ain't just have nobody dogging me out in Walmart because they can't get in the senior center. Clearly, we need our employees, which, you know, they didn't have a cost of living or a raise for almost 7 or 8 years. And we just did some things for first responders. You're asking us to back all that back out. I just ask you to please be very considerate. And I'm looking at y'all, but I'm not talking to y'all. Y'all wasn't here this morning. Be considerate of the fact that we weigh all of that. We don't make this decision lightly. But if the chiller stop working in the jail, the sheriff's gonna have a riot, because ain't nobody gonna sit up in no hot building. We're gonna take care of that. Do people want the elevator in the courthouse to be fixed, or do they wanna walk up 4 flights of stairs? We're not spending this money on ourselves. We're taking care of business. So give us some credit for trying to be good stewards, not just of your money. I have to pay taxes too. I'm trying to be a good steward of my own money. And I'm trying to teach my children to be good stewards of it. So yeah, I was able to get talked down once I got back home, but thank God I could not say anything this morning, because I probably would be getting an ethics complaint right about now.
Can I add something real quick? I'm so sorry. And I wanted to thank you for your presentation this morning. I mean, that was a lot of detailed work that was put into there. And I mean, and you explained everything laid out. You know, I mean,
Well, I missed it.
Yeah, you missed it. It was very good. And I hope you do it again maybe at the Thursday vote to do that. Because one of the things that you said, and I mean, you talk about your district, you know, you mentioned the recycling centers being closed down. The one time we see people coming out here is the conversation about that. We decide to go do that, this room will be packed. Okay, so we'll be mindful of that moving forward. That's all I have to say.
Well,
I'm good.
okay. Commissioner Dutton,
That's
Vice Chair?
That's what that meeting came down to this morning. Well, we don't want our taxes raised, but we expect the same amount of services. Well, we don't have a undisclosed gold mine beneath the courthouse that we're not telling anybody about. We're not drilling for oil anywhere, guys. Like, if the county's budget has to be effectively balanced, and if we're not getting enough to pay for the services, what services do you want cut? Do you want less deputies on the road? No, nobody wants less deputies on the road. Okay, do you want
Firemen?
no firemen? What do you want us not to spend money on the roads? Like, no. Clearly, for 4 years you've been coming screaming about, hey, there's potholes. We know, and now we're fixing them. Now, the other part that amazed me is people come and say, hey, we want this new amenity. Okay, let's find and scrabble and get a way to provide this amenity. hey, we want this new amenity. Hey, we want new pickleball courts. Hey, we want this new park. Hey, we want, and now the value of living in Spalding County has gone up. The price of your property has gone up because there's this huge list of amenities that weren't here when I was a little kid, that now are. Now we have award-winning parks, we have these huge, and we've done it on a shoestring budget, but now the price of your land here has gone up because it's so much better of a place to live, and you're upset that the price of your I mean, I suppose we could just turn the sewage loose in the street and your property values will go down, but no one, everyone wants to live in a quality community that's improving, and yet people are shocked when the value of their house goes up. Now, again, most of those house values are because of the rampant inflation caused by the disastrous policies coming out of Washington, D.C. And I would love to say that I could stop that. I voted in November, and I vote every other time. That's the closest I can get to stopping D.C. from ruining everything in the world. But it also means that it's ruined it for our sheriff's deputies. It's ruined it for the county employees. It's ruined it for the fire department. The cost of a fire truck has doubled. The cost of living for these guys has doubled too. Do you want us to furlough a bunch of sheriff's deputies? Someone came and stood up this morning and said, well, seek other sources of revenue. Do you want us to rob a bank? Governments get money from taxpayers.
Yeah, that's all.
A tiny sliver comes from fines and usage fees and whatever. And those are all earmarked for specific things. The county funds the sheriff's department, funds the roads, funds the parks, and funds the fire department on tax revenue. I think property taxes are inherently unfair. I don't like them. I wish we could do away with them. But in order to balance that budget, we would need a 10-cent additional sales tax at least in Spalding County. How many people are going to drive to the next county if we have a 17-cent sales tax in Spalding County? Everybody is. So that means we're not going to generate as much percent, which means, you see the problem? Look, I see that it hurts. My property taxes have increased dramatically because I get city taxes and I don't get a veteran's exemption because I'm not one. I don't get a senior citizen's exemption because I'm not one. I hope one day to be one. But in the meantime, people come and say, well, we should be exempted. Well, we can't vote to exempt you. That's not something that we control. Well, we should be exempted from school tax. Well, then go tell someone who can do that. I can't do that. Hey, I'd love for veterans to be exempt. We can't do that. It's like, I wish it didn't rain. Well, this board has nothing to do with that. There's just so much stuff. People coming up and going, are you gonna take a pay cut? We don't decide how much we're paying, right? And B, I make less than a server. If it came down to labor laws, we'd be in violation because per hour I spent doing this job, I might make $1. Might. This is, if you're doing this for money or you think we're doing this for money, I got a beachfront property in Arizona to sell you. Because that's not why you do this job. You do this job because you love your community and you want to spend your time helping your community. And I think I speak for everyone here when I say we would love it if more people would be willing to step up and do this job at the level that we do it at, the time commitment. My wife's texting me right now, our kids are not behaving for her right now. I would love to be at home so that my wife, isn't upset with my kids because she's been with them all day. But I'm not. I'm here, and I'm getting yelled at this morning. I'm getting yelled at this. Everything's my fault. I didn't cause the inflation that of Washington D.C., y'all. But I am having to deal with the consequences at a very, very real level, both personally in my families, but also with the counties. And at the end of the day, I can't think selfishly. I didn't run for this office so that I could get my road paved. You know what I mean? I didn't run for this so that what the county can do for me. Now I'm in this spot. It's time for me to get my own. No, I ran for this spot because I want my kids to live in this community with their grandkids. And they're not going to do that unless people step up and see the big picture of what's going on here and want to give of their time. And, you know, as they say, plant trees under which the shade, they'll never sit. Okay? The decisions we're making right now aren't for us. The decisions we're making right now are so widespread, so far-reaching, and this is not the kind of stuff that we take lightly. This is the kind of stuff we lose sleep over. We have amazing people like Jenna Garrison with the award tonight. That whole staff, what they do on just the skeleton crew that they have, what planning and zoning does on the skeleton crew that they have. Well, you need to cut more. Where? Come in here. We got giant binders full of budgets. If you find some fat, we will trim it, I promise. All right? This man's got a PhD in it. I promise he has looked for the fat. I promise. And we're going to continue to do so. If we find something, we will cut it. There's not anywhere else we can just cut. I'm going to end on a happy note and remind everyone that our animal shelter is awesome, that it wins awards, that it is rocking out there, and that not only does it not smell, but the puppies and the kitties are happy, and this is the best part, you can come and interact with them anytime you want. They would love for you to go and play with a room full of kittens. Doesn't that sound amazing? Like, you can come and walk those dogs. Those dogs are happy enough, they're just happy little larks to see you. And that helps those dogs acclimate back to people so that they're more apt to look cute when somebody else comes who wants to take them home forever. So if you want to save the animals, you literally can take a part, even if you're not taking them home with you. You can come and just be nice to them so that they're nice to some little kid when he comes, and then his parents have to take him home, like what happened to us. So, anyway, that's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Sorry to get on a tirade. I didn't mean to.
No, thank you.
Very good.
Most of this is really for the commissioners. 3 October, we're having Judge Thacker come in and talk to us about his project with the courthouse and the jail. He's bringing everybody with him so we can figure out where we're going on that. 2, continue on with the sidewalks. We're moving along. We need the second one planned out, so we've got that ready to go.
Yes, sir.
3, so everybody knows, we took the opportunity this morning to appeal our taxes to the state on the way we did this. There's a process that you have to go through on appealing taxes overall, and we took that, and they came down with the Department of Auditing to take a look, and we're trying to work our way back through that. On the same token, we're working on lost mediation and where we're going with all of that, finalizing SDS to be able to get that done. We're still looking for solutions for code enforcement, to be able to move forward in code enforcement. Lastly, trying to follow James's end on a high note. Those of you that had the opportunity to go out and watch pickleball, this was absolutely great. I estimate that we will have $1 million worth of economic impact in our county. That's going and doing hotels, food, gas, things like that over that period of time. If you had an opportunity to go out there and see that, see us take care of the weekend when it was raining, and we only have a few courts that are undercover, and to be able to have schools step forward to be able to put us in there so that we could continue on with this tournament. It was really something, and if you got to see those people, it was exciting just to be around them as we showcased Spalding County, and how many people said, wow. And then they had the opportunity, some of them, to see Doc Holliday and what all was going on with that. It was really great weekend for us. All right. Item number 14, executive session, performance evaluation of the county clerk. Chairman Davis requests an executive session to discuss or deliberate on the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal or periodic evaluation or rating of an county officer or employee as provided by OCGA 50-1436. With that, do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
For the listed reasons.
Yes, excuse me, for the listed reasons. All right, I have a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Those that want to stay around and come, we'll be back out in probably an hour, hour and a half.
Right, 10 o'clock.
No, no,
No, no?
no.
Okay, much faster than that. Okay.
It's been that kind of day, huh?
Girl, what you talking about?
Hi, Miles.
He coming in the room with us.
Oh, that's right.
No.
You must have taken pictures.
My wife wrote me, I've locked myself in the room, the kids are wet in the bed, I cannot take them anymore, I'm not gonna get
Not
on
at this point. We'll talk to him about the
Y'all are on a very small time.
Okay.
Did you hear what I said? Yes. My wife just said, text me, I've locked myself in the room, the kids are wet in their bath, I cannot take them anymore, I'm not coming out, good luck. We have this much time, this is the executive session.
Yes, let's go see if we can't take.
I love you guys, but my wife comes first.
Absolutely understand that. All right.
I will see you in a while.
How'd this go?
Oh, good, good, good.
I mean, did we get the things we wanted? We did. Okay. Sometimes it's.
Doo-dah, doo-dah. Hey DeAndre, it's 8:30. 8:30 to 10:30. Have a good night, Amy.
What?
Have a good night, Amy.
Oh, you too. Everything else all right?
What'd you think about my presentation this morning?
I thought it was good. I thought it was good. You know, I think you made it realistic for a lot of people. I mean, look, I see the points. I mean, but, you know, it's like, it's got to be paid for.
You me say that?
It's got to get paid by people. I think they pretty much already did. I'm gonna have some of these people calling me tomorrow.
I live there. Shut up, sit down.
They're gonna
I'm not trying to be mean to them. I love
They
them to
are
pieces.
gonna be bringing y'all off the
Well, I'm sorry about it, but what do you want me to do? There ain't no more money, honey.
Not about that. I was like, hey, okay, we get it. We get it.
Trying to take a lot of good men out of this race.
Oh, yeah.
I do have to remember. I do need to remember Thursday afternoon when I make my presentation again. The station at Park Station is on Team Road and service to Sanford.
And that's important, and I think the more you can make these things real to people, the better, because it's like, you know, then, if you don't, remember we were talking from the beginning, if you don't, then people do have these just lofty ideals about what's happening, and I think, you know, it goes back to like the Facebook mentality. Everybody thinks they're getting wrong, everybody thinks there's conspiracy theory, that's, you know, somebody's behind them trying to, you know, do them wrong financially. If you see the dollars and cents,
It's hard to make an argument.
it's hard, it is, and, you know, and if you just continue to bring service, like, oh, guys, we get it, you know, look, you know, we understand that everybody is in a really bad position right now, and, you know, I just think empathy goes such a long way, I mean, not, inauthentic empathy. It's like, well, we understand. This is a very strange situation, because you just got a lot of people, the people who couldn't be here today, are people who couldn't be here today. They can't take off work, they can't get off their shift. I mean, it's a little high-minded to say, you should be here. If you don't have childcare, if you can't get off your, you can't be there.
Only having Wednesday night,
Right.
having one in the morning, next one
You
in the
try,
afternoon.
and you try, and you try, and you
Every
try to make it happen, and you try to do it, but, it's just a lot of people who it really does impact can't be here. And you hope that maybe they'll participate online. It's just, so that's why you get one facet, you get one group, because they're retired, they can be here. So. And what? And they may be on Thursday. So, and it's a shame, but it's just the reality. But, that doesn't stop anybody from coming and making a statement here at your office, or sending an email, or, there are other ways to participate too. So, and maybe, okay, here's an idea. Maybe that's it. Maybe Wednesday, or even tomorrow, say, hey guys, we have one more meeting left. We know that a lot of you can't get here. Please know that you can submit an email, you can, maybe there's some other ways to get feedback. Is that possible?
Sure, we'll take it, I'll read it.
I mean,
Night, Andre.
not that I wanna, kill Kathy with emails, cause I'm sure you're like, But I'm just wondering if there might be some other ways so that people can literally, so they cannot say they didn't have their chance. I don't know, something to think about. I'll talk to Andre about it tomorrow. Maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. But, at the end of the day, checks gotta get written. So, yep. Forge ahead.
I wanna forge backwards.
Token.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I didn't know I actually had an individual one. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I'm trying to figure out how it works still too, so.
Oh, no, I'll figure it out.
It's easy.
I'll figure it
When you
out.
log in,
Yeah, I just needed it.
As soon as you log in, there's a screen that pops up that says Duo, it says push, email, or token.
Yeah.
Click the token, it'll pop up, hit the red button on there, and type the token number in, and you're good.
Yeah. I have another one for another client, so it's the same thing.
Bunch.
Yeah.
Cause we did the app a while ago, and I couldn't get the app to do right, so.
I couldn't get the app to upload on mine, and I couldn't get it to send me a message on my phone either.
Yeah, no,
I tried that.
I could
Did you-
download it, but I couldn't do the
Yeah.
authentication thing.
See, yell at me tomorrow and I'll show you how it works.
Well, I've got a fob now.
Yeah.
You want both of them.
Oh,
Cause
okay.
what about when we use that computer right there?
Well, we log in with,
It'll do the same thing.
I know, but is that gonna have its own little
It will.
token thing?
Well, you'll log in as you.
really not to change me and,
Y'all have
I
a
think
wonderful
so.
night.
Me
Like
too.
you too. Because that changed me, when we log in
Bye,
there,
Mother.
that's gonna have different apps and stuff
Well-
loaded on different desktops.
I'm coming.
Okay. I need to figure out, I'm gonna need some funds. I need to get that board out of the way,
Say it, say it.
because we need to scoot another chair right there.
Say it, ain't say it.
Is the driver.
Get out of here, kid.
You know what I'm saying.
Go, get.
Alright,
See you.
Well, you wait.
4 minutes and it's my bedtime. I am in bed by 9 o'clock.
Me too. I'm in bed by about
Well,
10.
I guess you got your votes tonight. For the millage rate, I only got 5 votes. Didn't it? Okay.
What we need, but
All right. Yes.
you good?
Full time, but I'm good.
Me too.
My eyes hurt. I can't wear contacts this time. I should have brought my glasses. I didn't think this meeting would go this late. But I know you never know what's going to come. I don't care, because if you're not gonna take your own vacation, I don't care about that. You just work every damn day. I don't care.
You don't mind?
I do, but I don't care.
I love you too.
You won't do what I say, so I don't care.
Hey, Ryan called me while we were there. Ryan, he said, all right, two things. All right. First, I love you.
That's what I just told them in there. They said, I love every one of you.
I laughed at him.
It's hard to think Ryan's gonna say that. Clay would say that.
No.
The others would.
All right, get out of here, go on.
You too. You can't go. You can't go to the boat. Oh, that's right. Y'all got to close the.
Okay, close session.
All right. See you later.
Have a wonderful
Another
weekend.
fun day.
I hope so.
No.
And the first stranger I see, my two back authentication.
back here.
Wait a minute,
Oh, with
my
full
two
wrapping
fingers
back
too
there.
big. Okay.
Catch me
With
if I
that,
fall.
we're not everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Rita, do you know how to do your two-person authentication? Okay, I'm gonna come up here for a class and see how to do it.
Okay. Give her a second to get turned on.
That won't work and sit on the high.
Motion to come out.
Hold on just a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just seem like it should be one more of us, but I guess it ain't.
I just sleep from stand up right now.
Okay.
Are we on?
I'd like, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to come out of closed session.
All right, do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion, a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Do I have a motion to
Motion to
adjourn?
adjourn.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand.
Good night.
We're adjourned.
That was a good, long meeting, but good.
Long day.
Yes.
I'll be so glad when they finish paving the road over in District 5. Hey, that's your district, Ryan? Oh, in District. Guys, have a good one. You too.
Next meeting, okay. I'll talk to you about this in just a second, when you're through talking to her. Bye, y'all.
Night, Ryan.
She's like, I will get it to DeAndre by noon tomorrow. You Stephanie, please.
Thank you,
look
sir.
at this.
No, absolutely not.